Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Pwnery's Week in Review, episode 33, a menagerie of whatever we feel like telling you this week. Sort of a review of things that aren't fully covered or maybe not overly covered that we thought was worth a, look over, or once over, you would say. Anyway, I did see our other co-host somewhere online earlier, but he seems to be preoccupied, as usual, because his wife is sick, I think. And he's trying to live in two places with a giant couple 100-mile gap in between, so I guess there's that too. Anyway, if you've never heard this intro before, this is Ben Carlos, and I'm trying to remember the name of the track. So sorry, I forgot. I'll have to come up with it later. But anyway, that's our intro for the week. So anyway, ooh, shit, I cut that off way too quick. Amateur. Hey, at least we almost started on time, though. So anyway, hello, good morning. To a very cold morning, actually. Scott's devoid of temperature, more or less, and I barely have any here, which the 1,700 miles difference between us has no bearing on the weather right now. So anyway, I've got my one co-host, my other one is MIA, and I'm sure Night Strike or probably Jaime might trickle in later. But good morning, Scott.
Good morning.
So, we're sort of on time, and to combat me clearing my throat 50 million times, I've got 3 cough drops in my mouth just to really nuke it, to get on top of it. Because when I woke up this morning...
Did you get the ones I recommended?
Until I ordered them, but I haven't opened them yet. I'm going to use up the ones I've got. I've discovered if I double or triple up on them, they actually work. Which is crazy, but whatever. Yeah, so I use just like generic menthol cough drops, and I used to use the Halls lemon honey ones or whatever. Those were pretty good, like in terms of intensity. And then Scott told me about Fisherman's Friend. So I'm hoping those are strong, because I'm looking for a cough drop that literally like sucks the breath out of you with how intense the menthol action is, because I have a lot of allergies in my part of Texas, or allergens, and I seem to react really badly to airborne mold and water oak pollen, which coincidentally I have one in my front yard, which I'm thinking about chopping down. Even though I planted it like 30 years ago, it's got to go. So anyway, welcome to what I call the SHOT Show hangover episode, because yesterday was the last day. And if you are new to guns or this podcast or anything like that, the NSSF holds a show every year. Usually in January, you see this, you see just convention after convention in Las Vegas. So you have like the CES show, Consumer Electronics Show, and then that's usually followed by NSSF SHOT Show, and then that's usually followed by, I want to say the next one that comes after that is like Photography and Bridal Show or something like that, because I have a friend who is here who used to live in Vegas, or she's from here, she moved to Vegas, she came back here, but she used to do that show every year, and I always found it kind of coincidental that she would talk about this show, and then I realized it came right after SHOT Show, and I thought, yeah, it seems like January is like the convention month of Vegas. So that's going on, or had gone on, and I guess one of the funnier things that I noticed was, in the middle of the week, Squibload from Gun Channels, he does this segment on his channel called Speaking Squibbish, and it takes place in his vehicle, either on the way to work or on the way home from work, and he just spends a few minutes basically sharing his opinion on a certain subject that's on his mind. And it's kind of funny, because I was thinking about doing something similar in my car, and I was going to set up the camera on the passenger side window pointing towards me, because I've got my car set up in such a way where even at night you should be able to see me, because I've run 4 strings of black lights along the floorboards, like down the inner rocker panels and then down the center console. So like even with the black lights on, it's just enough light to see me while I'm driving. Or in my case, the reason I used to do it was at first, because, we were kids once and we tuned by eBay on our first car or whatever. But I found an added benefit to it for me. The first car I did it to was a Jag, 86 Jag XJ6. And I lifted it. I know it sounds weird. I lifted it an inch because the springs were tired. Maybe it was the stock height after I replaced the springs. And then I put a set of 18-inch Wood Coddington wheels on it, on a Jag. It was all black, had a red pinstripe down the side. It was a really good-looking car. And I was working at O'Reilly Auto Parts at the time as a manager, so we had this APC catalog, and I picked up black light neon lights, and I bought, I think it was two 18-inch sticks that I mounted underneath the dashboard, so you wouldn't see the actual bar, you would just see the light coming off of it at your feet. And then I ran two 12-inch sticks underneath the front seats to light up the back area. And the idea originally came with, oh, this will look cool. But then, as an added benefit, I used to smoke back then. I remember one day I was driving, and I reached for a cigarette, and I dropped it on a black car with a black interior at night. And I couldn't find the damn thing. And I was like, this sucks. I was like running my hand all across the floor while I'm holding the steering wheel and doing like 50. And I'm like, screw it. I grabbed another one, dropped that one too. So then I just kind of held the pack up to my mouth and pulled one out. And that one stayed. But after I put the neons in, the same situation happened. But I saw the cigarette on the floor glowing bright purple, and I'm like, oh, there it is. So it has an added benefit. So I've been doing it ever since. I've been putting black lights in the car, every car I've had ever since, just so I have low light that I can see all the time while I'm driving that people outside of the car can't see. So I'm not being a distraction to anybody. And it looks cool too. So it's like double bonus, right? But why was I even mentioning that?
No idea.
Why did I mention that? Oh,
Because you're rambling?
no, sorry. I was thinking about doing a segment on my channel called Pwnery Opines. And it would have been similar to Speaking Squibbish. But I would just like pick a topic and then drive around for like 20, 30 minutes and then just opine about it. My original plan is because my education background was for psychology of women and couples therapy, relationship therapy. And I thought what I would do is I would just pick a subject, a sociological or psychological subject, and sort of tie it into like, this is the point I'm driving at, kind of a sermon type thing. But to keep it interesting, I would do it in the car as I was passing by some of Houston's landmarks that haven't been destroyed by disrepair. And then maybe discuss like the cigar I chose while I was smoking while I was driving that day. Something like that. But I gave up smoking, so it's something that I wanted to do, but I don't know if I want to pick that part of it up or make the inside of my car smell like cigars, so there was that. Anyway, Squib did this Speaking Squibbish this week about his, how do I describe this? His dislike for certain aspects of SHOT Show. And I was waiting for him to say this exact phrase, but he never said it. He sort of said the words, but he didn't tie them together, bringing it all together type of a thing. But it was pretty good. He was like, people go and they suck up to the manufacturers, or they, not everybody, but he was like, that's what turns him off, is a lot of the people that he knows or watches on YouTube, when they go to SHOT Show, it turns into shill show in his estimation. That was the word I was looking for. I was waiting for him to say shill show, but he didn't. He just said people go and they put on their super thick knee pads and they coddle to the manufacturers to promote a product that they would probably never buy themselves. And he was like, that's a turnoff to him. And I sort of understand where he's going with that, because it does rub off a bit as a commercial. But the fact of the matter is, that's what SHOT Show is, isn't it? it's an industry commercial, and these people that go, many of which we know, um, they're bringing the commercial to us, so we don't have to make the trip. So, like for me, I'm pretty grateful for it because it saves me the trip and the travel time and the jet lag and all that. But then again, you miss out on the opportunity to hang out with all your buds that you only get to see once or twice a year. My dog is becoming very emo for some reason. Um, but I thought it was an interesting perspective because it was like, yeah, these people they go and they suck up to the manufacturers, or they show us a product that nobody cares about, um, or the industry comes out with something that rubs off as the answer to a question that nobody's asking. And in my case, the question that nobody was asking this year at SHOT Show was, why did you create the 8.6 millimeter caliber? Like, nobody cares. It doesn't do anything special or different that 35 Remington couldn't do if you loaded it subsonic, right? And it's like, why did you do that? And then somebody else pointed out, maybe it was you, somebody else pointed out, what the hell was the point of 30 super carry? And I thought, they were so close to the idea that we used to joke about on gun channels, where I called it the 257 SIG or the 187 GC round, where you take like a 9 mil round and you neck it down. But then again, Arms Corps did that with 22 TCM, didn't they? They should have called it 257 SIG. That would have been hilarious.
Or basically, they reinvented 30 Mauser or
Um,
7.62 Tokarev,
ballistically, yes.
because ballistically they're pretty damn close.
The thing I noticed though, the 30 super carry has a longer piece of brass than a 9 mil. So I'm thinking they used a 30 caliber version of what would be 9 Largo, because there's still no metric number for this cartridge yet. It's just called 30 super carry. I tried to find the SAMI specs on it. I couldn't get an overall length or a case length or none of that yet. But strangely enough, in terms of coordination, like Federal came up with this round, I think. There's already like 4 or 5 gun manufacturers who have a gun ready to go for this. So like the new Shield.
It's easy to rechamber a fucking gun.
Right, but I mean, I guess the thing is though, yeah, you can always just drill out a different barrel, but you still have to tune it to your trigger and your springs and all that, right? So I think all the manufacturers had a gag order, and then they had this, they just manufactured this thing, and all of a sudden it was like, okay, we made this round, we're gonna send you 4 or 5 manufacturers, 1,000 rounds of it, so you can test and tune your guns for this. And, they came up with the guns that were ready to go for SHOT Show. So it was cool. It's just, you know what it rubs off to me like? A rimless version of 327 Federal Magnum. I think that's what it's called, right?
Yeah, 327 Federal Mag.
Yeah. So it's like 32 super long plus P in a way for, a rimmed round. But it seems like that because they wanted it lighter, and that way you can carry more rounds per mag and still have a lighter gun than, say, a 380 or a 9 mil. It performs above 380 but below 9 mil. And I think their premise was... is it? Like pretty close?
Because that's where 9 Mac falls into.
Right.
It's more powerful than 380, but not quite 9 millimeter.
Okay. And what's funny is the bullet's actually bigger than 9 millimeter.
Yeah.
So yeah, they could have made it a lighter bullet to really get it going downrange fast. But instead they made it, 110 grains?
100, yeah, 110, I think.
So it's a weighty round. I don't know. It's just like it still comes off as a question that, or an answer to a question nobody's asking. Or at least I think it is.
Absolutely.
But that 8.6, without a doubt, that's the answer to a question nobody asked. Like, why did you do that? We have a big enough powder and primer shortage, and now you're going to make an obscure bullet
I can tell you why.
and suck up the primers even more.
I can tell you why. Exactly why. 9x39.
Oh, as a competitor to it?
Well, 9x39.
That's the AK
just
round.
starting. Yes, it's that big fat subsonic AK round,
Mm-hmm.
which was just starting to catch on until good old Joe did his Russian import ban.
See, but I thought 9x39 was the answer to R300 Blackout.
I think it was more or less either that or they wanted something heavier hitting than, say, subsonic 9mm out of the Vityazes.
For the Russians?
They wanted something for the Russians.
Okay. Because
I think they might have wanted something with more stopping power, knockdown power, you know what I mean?
Sure. I mean, we answered the 300 Blackout with 458 SOCOM, and then there was another round called the 375 Tromix, which I think was a Navy request, right? I think the Navy asked for that one. So it's like we already had the answers to those questions after we came up with 300 Blackout, or AAC, depending on, which way you go with that. But either way, those questions were already answered, so it's kind of redundant. But see, Patrick sort of got this in my head the other day when we talked about this. You're taking a new caliber, which is going to get people to have to buy new dies. They have to have a broader selection of bullets in that diameter. So now you're bifurcating the market even further, and you're still shortening the supply of primers to create that new round when there's already a shortage of primers. So now it's just one more thing to suck up the inventory. Thanks a lot. What the fuck? Anyway, I thought that was an interesting thing that Squib, pointed out, and then I sort of put it all together in a drunken stupor last night, if I'm honest. About answering questions nobody's asking, and he did say that. Like, he was like, "We didn't ask this," and then I took a dig at him, and I'm like, so he said that there's a lot of stuff that shows up at SHOT Show that never makes it to market. And I thought, I know where he's going with this. So my response to his video was, so did you ever get your Hill and Mac mags? And he was like, you had to rip that Band-Aid off, didn't you? But it's true. You go there, and this happens with the large manufacturers not as often, but it happens to almost all the small manufacturers, which is what a lot of people go to see, because they're the ones that are innovating a new idea, and then they end up getting swallowed up or bought out by the bigger fish. But the new ideas are on display, which is cool. I mean, it's sort of like going to a car show, like the Detroit Auto Show or the New York Auto Show, right? Everyone brings their concepts to the show, so you can see it and go, ooh, that's kind of cool.
It's
when can I get one?
Basically the firearms industry throwing
Auto
a
show.
ton of new shit at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Right. It's just like the auto show with prototypes.
Yeah, that's all it is. It's prototypes that they're hoping one of the major manufacturers will pick up and pay them for, and pay for the development.
Well, the really small ones, yes. Because I think some of the bigger fish don't buy it.
Kind of unique gun, and then shooting yourself in the foot with it because you announced that you're going to come up with an alloy version.
How did I know you were going to come up with Hudson? Like, I was thinking the same thing. No, I mean, I was right there with you. I was thinking of that when you said that. I'm like, he's about to say Hudson. It's true, though. They came out with something innovative, very well made, very interesting, and then they pulled I forgot the name of the Osborne computer situation, because what ended up happening with Osborne is the same thing. They created a computer, and then everyone was interested in buying it, and then before they started shipping out a ton of orders for it, they said, oh, we got this new one coming. But the problem was is they had all their money tied up in the old one, and nobody bought it. That they were bankrupt before they could make the new one. Same thing with Hudson. They had the steel heavy, which is what I bought, and then they turned around and said, "We're going to make a new one with an alloy frame." Nobody bought the heavy anymore. Then, when they had to pay for Lauren Hudson's breast augmentation, they said, "Wait, we don't have any money left." So, broke. Weren't they under like
Well,
federal
there's still
investigation for something too after that?
no. There's massive multi-million-dollar lawsuits going on still
Mm-hmm.
because their supplier was supplying them with out-of-spec parts that they had already paid for
Yeah.
that they couldn't use because they were so out of spec. And then somebody else was not delivering them parts.
Yeah. Oh,
There's
that's
a
right. They had
whole
a problem with the machinist, and then they
yeah.
decided to take out a loan to do it in-house or something like that, and they went broke. I
Yeah,
remember that
so
now.
there was a bunch of crap that went down there.
Yep, I remember now. What a shame. I don't know. Mine still works. I'm happy with it.
Somebody will pick up the design and run with it.
But they did. You see, if you own a Hudson and you don't want to shoot it because you're afraid it's going to break, or you own one and it broke, or you own one and you want to shoot it more but you're afraid that it's going to break, KE Arms out in Arizona makes the parts for it now. So you're good to go there.
Yeah, but I think KE Arms eventually will buy up the design and put it back into production.
Oh, look, it is Squib. No, I love that video that you did. That's why I talked about it this morning.
He's muted, though.
It's okay. He's probably just listening in.
What?
There he is.
Yeah.
Morning.
What's up?
Oh, I was talking about your Speaking Squibbish segment from the week and how we pretty much categorically agree with you.
Actually, more people agreed with me than I thought. That wasn't the motive behind it. It was simply just to. There's all these people out there that just push back against me about the shot thing. So I thought I would use that video to explain why, one, shot doesn't interest me, whether YouTubers are there or not.
Yeah.
And then the fact that if I was going to get interested in SHOT Show, there are people on YouTube who have ruined it.
Yeah.
And there was a follow-up, or not a follow-up video, but there was a video from two other people who went to SHOT Show that pretty much quantified the second part of my Speaking Squibbish.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't doing it to get views or take attention away or some of the other crap, or because I'm jealous or some of the other shit I've heard in the past. And it's just like, SHOT Show just it's one big business meeting.
Yes.
And if you're not in the business, you're not in it. Do you remember high school? If you weren't in the in crowd, you were nobody. Well, that's how some of these YouTubers act.
Yeah.
I get to go to SHOT Show. I'm somebody. Look at me. Blah blah blah. And it's like, that's no way to talk to your viewers.
No, I agree. And the analogy that I came up with earlier was SHOT Show is basically the firearms equivalent of the Detroit Auto Show. You get a bunch of manufacturers and they show off, this is what we could do, and 90% of it doesn't go to market. But as an added caveat, SHOT Show is the Detroit Auto Show from 1949, because you have the big three, but you had Hudson, Kaiser, Frazier, Nash, International. You had a bunch of smaller guys too, and they were all at that Detroit Auto Show. And then like Tucker, and then you would see all this new innovation, and then like Scott pointed out, smaller manufacturers sometimes go to these because they come up with a unique idea, they show it off in a venue that the whole world sees, with the sole intention of selling the patent rights to one of the big three, and then they just, reap what they sow in profit and then fade off. Or they flip the table over and become the next part of the big three. They join the big boys table, which is rare, obviously, but it's sort of coming around. But yeah, you're right. You just see a bunch of stuff that never comes out, and it's kind of frustrating.
That's part of it. That's part of it. Also all this new stuff just most years doesn't do anything for me and stuff. And then the fact that, you know, you throw in the YouTube factor and just the shilling and all the other garbage that goes along with it. Now, I did a couple takes on this over the course of about like 2 weeks before I finally settled on that one that I put out there. And in one of them, I did compare it to the auto show, but not from that perspective. The Detroit Auto Show is 2 weeks long. The first week is for the manufacturers and the press. I've gone to that one as a manufacturer, right? And some of the displays and some of the presentations aren't so much to try to get you to buy the damn car. It's a bunch of engineers in there measuring car parts and looking at the competition, or it's a bunch of tier 1, tier 2 suppliers looking at, you know, their works in the vehicle, their final product, you know, or looking at the competition, seeing what they can do without, you know, getting sued for patent infringement and blah blah blah. And there, you know, there's politicians there, and the media's there, and celebrities are there, and things like that. Lots of parties and champagne and stuff like that. And then the next week, it's open to the public, and some of the displays change where now they're just trying to sell cars, right? And the media's still there, but that's really about it. And if SHOT Show was done kind of like that, where 1 week was open to the public and 1 week was for the industry, I would say the YouTubers should go on the week that is open to the public and not the industry. But that's just my opinion of it. It doesn't matter what my opinion is. There are people out there that seem to think that me with my tiny channel, I can just take down SHOT Show. And it's like, that's not what I'm trying to do. I mean, well, get over yourself.
Technically, we do have that, though. You see, SHOT Show was supposed to be the industry commercial, right? And I think what you just described with the auto show first week, that's like an engineering's cuck session. They go up there and they gimp for everybody, and they look at each other's stuff, right? And then the second week's to the public. Well, we have that too in the firearms industry. You have SHOT Show, which is supposed to be for industry, and then you have the NRA show, which is for everybody else. And it's kind of the same
and the
show.
American Outdoor Show and Trigger Con.
Exactly.
And USCCA and the Rod of Iron Freedom Festival. I mean, and it's all throughout the year, and it's in different places. So well, I shouldn't say you can't. If you don't want to pay to fly to Las Vegas, maybe there's something in your backyard, but it's 6 months later, and then you don't have to deal with all the BS. SHOT Show is a time management tool for people in the industry, whether you're a gun store owner, distributor, a trainer, a manufacturer, whatever it is, to network out with other people. It was never meant for a couple hundred YouTubers to show up and shove cameras in people's faces so they can do commercials. Now, you know, they say, well, the press pass existed before. Yeah, back in the day before YouTube, when you read about SHOT Show in Guns and Ammo or American Rifleman, or maybe saw it on a handful of TV shows that were about shooting sports or hunting, that's where the press pass came. It wasn't flooded with people. And let's be real. These YouTubers, most of them, or a good number of them, are not there to show their audience something because they have the credentials and they're doing it for their audience. They understand that their audience doesn't have the credentials to go there, so they're going to go and represent. No, they are there to make as many videos as possible in the shortest amount of time possible. They're using it as a time management tool, the same way these industry people are, all under one roof in 1 week. Instead of scheduling this meeting and traveling all over the country, they can just handle it all in one place, right? The YouTubers are doing the same thing, but they're making these videos for them. They're making these videos to get views, build their analytics, build their subscribers, all this other stuff, right? And they're also making business deals. They're grabbing free swag. These people who send their Patreon money in every month, and then they get an envelope full of stickers. Where the hell do you think the stickers came from? Do you think they cost anything? I'm not saying that these guys should be, you know, out there not making any money off their Patreon. If you want to Patreon somebody, go for it. That's your money. Do what you want. But this is where the stickers come from. And I've literally watched people grab stacks of these things.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
And watch the vendors joke around about this sort of thing. And that's exactly where your free stickers come from. So don't think that these guys just went and paid for it out of their own, you know, every penny you give me goes back into the channel. That's another lie. Tell the truth. Be more honest. I might give you more credit. But they're doing that. They're also working out deals. You know, that T&E gun they got, it could be because they worked out a deal at SHOT Show or one of these other shows. But when they do the video, it's like, hi, I'm YouTuber X. I got this T&E gun that you don't get. I got this gun that I really don't make enough money that I can really justify the cost, but I'm going to play with it for free on camera, and I'm going to rub it in your face that I got it 6 months before it came out on market. Now let's go watch me and see how great I am. And there, there'll be somebody out there yelling at the screen if they're even watching, going, "I don't act like that in my videos." Really, dude? Go back and watch it and quit being your biggest fan. Be your biggest detractor, and you'll see it. Now, I'm not saying all YouTubers do that. When you see somebody and they present it like they are really sharing it with the audience, that I think is I support that sort of thing. But when you act like you're superior to everybody because you get this and they don't, and you can hear it in their voice, you can see it in their body language, you can all this other stuff. And then sometimes when they're shooting these interviews at SHOT Show and stuff, you can watch them kiss ass like, oh man, please. And some of these people you talk to at these vendors, these aren't the people that can get you a sponsorship or give you free stuff. There's somebody at the company that got drug along to work that thing.
Yeah, they drew the short straw.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, if you actually bought this product out of your own pocket way before you ever talked to the vendor at SHOT Show, and you've been using this thing for years and you swear by it whether or not they gave you free stuff or not, good. But sometimes it's kind of like, yeah, I ordinarily wouldn't buy this, but this company gave it to me for free, so I got to keep kissing ass because nobody's going to give me free stuff if I start doing negative reviews. And I've had companies approach me, this whole pay-to-play thing. Oh, yeah, we'll give it to you, but you better say something good about it. It's like, yeah, no.
Well, you see, the half-bird colonel does that.
Well, I was going to say...
Nothing fancy. He does that. He used to get the T&E deals, and then he would opine on them, and he's become what he calls himself an honest critic, and now he's not getting the invites anymore. You actually tore the Band-Aid off right back at me for that Hill and Mac thing, by the way, just now. You did. Well done. Like, as you kept doing it, I was just like, I don't know if he realizes what he's doing to me right now, but he's ripping the Band-Aid off. I'll tell you a short story. I made a gentleman's agreement bet with Golden Web on YouTube, because he and I were talking about the new Python 2 years ago. And I said, hey, first person to get their Python wins. And he's like, cool, deal. So yesterday, I went to my FFL 20 months and 2 weeks after I placed my order. And I still don't have my 6-inch Python. And I was like, what the fuck? Golden Web's gotten his Python 3 weeks after we made the gentleman's bet. Then he had enough time to send it back to Colt back and forth 3 times for repairs. Then they finally recalled it. They gave up, and they gave him a brand new revolver with the new side plate and screws to fix the problem that he had. Then he bought the 8-inch. Then he bought 2 Anacondas, and then he bought the new 3-inch that was debuted this week. He saw it on Monday. It was in his possession on his channel by Wednesday. He's self-funded, by the way. So he's gotten all those, and I still haven't gotten mine. And I went yesterday, and I was like, where's my Python? This is ridiculous. And the guy was like, let me show you the pre-order database. There's 292 people who pre-ordered for this little small shop. I'm still on the list at position 21 after 2 years.
It would have been worse if your FFL had said, it's at SHOT Show. They needed one for the demo.
The worst part is, he has one 6-inch Python on the counter behind him while I'm talking to him the whole time. And it was the same gun he showed me a year ago. Because what he was saying is when they get them, they get 2 or 3 at a time. They take 2 of them for the pre-order price, and then the third one they mark up to the market value that everyone else is selling for. And it's still got a $3,995 sticker on it. And it hasn't moved in a year.
Damn.
Yeah. Now, what's funny is, I asked him about the Anaconda. He reaches behind the counter, he puts one in front of me. He's like, I got one right here. It's got a $2,000 price tag on it. So my first question was, why is this one so much less than the Python? And he goes, less people order the Anaconda. And I kind of looked at him, I'm like, soft hands? And he's like, soft hands. It's just too much gun for them. So he can't mark it up as much. And then he goes, if you want this one, he says, I can move your pre-order deposit to this gun, and then you pay the difference. and you can have this one right now. Yes, I want an anaconda. No, I don't want to pay $2,000 for it. So then he goes to the back, and they did get another 6-inch python. And he said, "Oh, I do have a second one here." And he goes, "I guess you're now position 20 because I got to call the guys above you." It's really annoying because it's 2 years. Like, I'm in the same Hill and Mac situation you're in, except the only difference is they have the guns on the shelf and they won't give it to me because those are the ones that they're trying to get $4,000 for, like everyone else on Gunbroker was trying to do.
Well, going back to the SHOT Show thing, look at these big channels that shoot these guns, these prototypes, these pre-productions, these all this stuff, and then they never go to market. And it's kind of like they already made their money. They got their 50,000 views, and then the gun never goes to market. You don't see anybody retract their views or retract their AdSense revenue or retract any of that stuff going, hey, it never made it there. You can talk about something that doesn't happen and still cash in. I mean, just like these companies, they get interest that way and stuff like that. But you as a consumer should not have to wait this long for the thing. And honestly, if you wanted to get it sooner and cheaper, if you did shill for Colt, right? If you had the numbers and you could shill for Colt, you probably would have got one right off the get-go, and it'd be a T&E, and then they'd sell it to you at a cheaper price. And not everybody's transparent about that either. Now, some of it might be because of an agreement. You might not be allowed to say that.
Gag order.
Another time it might be, well, I definitely don't want my audience knowing that I'm, getting this. But I don't know. I'd almost rather a YouTuber say, look, all right, guys, I love guns. I like doing this. I'm having fun with the YouTube thing. I'm making some money on the side, but honestly, I'm doing this sort of thing because this is the easiest way and the cheapest way to get the gun. But in the meantime, I'm going to review it, but they also know if they give it a negative review, they'll get blacklisted. And it's not just them, right? If they're known for doing a negative review on anything, all these other companies won't come out of the woodwork and give them stuff. And some of these people play it up like they're bigger than what they are. The way they act or the name of their channel or something like that, they make it when really they live in an apartment or a double wide. And they act, and you have to act that way when you're dealing with these vendors and stuff in order to sell yourself, in order to get them to do stuff like give you a T&E. But it would be interesting to see your videos if you got T&E guns all year long. I think you'd be complaining about the ammo cost. I got these guns, I got no ammo to shoot them with.
Oh, spot on. I mean, one of the things you mentioned earlier was, I think a lot of people, like the YouTubers basically, they go to SHOT Show for 2 reasons. One, it's a vacation. They get to hang out with other fellow YouTubers, so it's like a convention to them. And 2, range day. They get to play with new guns and not have to pay for any of it, the gun or the ammo. And then, like you said, some folks will record it and leer it over you. But I don't know. I mean, it's sort of like when I go to Wanamaker, right? We all get together, we all go shopping, we all have a good time, we all go home. It's just, my channel costs me money. I don't Patreon, I don't anything. Everything that I put on my channel, I had to pay out of my own pocket. So it's like that plus cameras, plus gimbals, plus lights, all that stuff, that all came out of my own pocket, which is why my channel grows as slow as it does. Because I don't shill, I guess. The only sponsorship that I really want is Fiocchi or Cellier and Bello. They're like, hey, we're going to send you ammo so you don't have to waste, half your life reloading it. I'd be like, okay, that's cool. That'd be fine. Anyway, that was SHOT Show in a nutshell. And I guess I sort of bled into my week in review. Don't have my Python, 20 months and 2 weeks. But the FFL told me what my position in the pre-order is, which still sucks. And then on top of that, I have the ability to find one locally, and then he can just transfer my deposit over to the Anaconda, which is fine, because I might just do that if I find a local one today.
Well, along the lines with the other stuff, if you did get the ammo sponsorship, and if they were like, what kind of manufacturer would you want to that, I would probably go the ammo route too. The guns are not as expensive as the ammo at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with that is there are YouTubers that have ammo companies as sponsors, and what do? They go out there and blast away with tons of ammo. Meanwhile, there's none on the shelves. Or they blast away with tons of ammo, but meanwhile, it's still 4 times what it should be. Or they say, yeah, go to this website, man, and you can buy the ammo. You go there, out of stock, out of stock, out of stock. It's like, I'm not going to put any faith in you. You might be a good dude and you might have good intentions, but you're full of shit because you get this stuff, 1, for free. 2, you get it before me. And 3, you can't even tell me the truth about whether or not it's in stock. So, yeah, I push back against a lot of BS. I'm not saying somebody should do this stuff for free. I'm not saying this should just be a charity thing or just all two-way and nothing. But I've seen other YouTubers, whether it be in guns or two-way or other things, handle things in not such a douchey way. It'd be interesting to see, if you got this sponsorship or you just got free ammo out the ass, right? And then you turn into a total douche.
That's what the lieutenant colonel did. Like, it took time, but like if you look at Nut and Fancy's videos from like say 6 years ago and start working your way up to today, the one major thing that you'll take away from it is his video output numbers have dropped dramatically. Because when he tells you like it is, in his estimation, when he actually runs these things, you got to kind of give the guy a bit of credit. He doesn't do the mud tests like in range. But what he does do is he runs and guns out in the field with them. And he's got his targets up and his barricades and all that. So he gives you like a practical, I don't want to call it like if the shit hit the fan and you've got to move situation. But he does do that, and it kind of gives you an idea of practicality. Like when he has to lay down on a barricade with a hole in the bottom, and the ejection pattern of the cases is hitting him in the cheek because it's bouncing off the ground or whatever, he's not going to like that. Or if he says, I shoot it left-handed and it ejects out the left, and it flies right past my eye pro, and sometimes nicks the lens, that's got to be dangerous, He tells it like it is, and then he's sort of been shunned by the industry now. He doesn't get to get TNEs. He just did the Springfield Hellion video, and he didn't have a lot of nice things to say about it. First and foremost, because he had to pay for his. He didn't get a TNE. And he was like, let me save you $2,000. This is why. And then he goes on a, hour-long sermon about the pluses and minuses. But at the end of the video, it was all minuses. And it's like, do you think Springfield's going to hook him up in the future? No. But the information's valuable.
I think it's important at the beginning of a video to say whether or not you paid for it yourself or whether or not you were provided it. Mm-hmm. Either way, it doesn't matter. But if you were provided it and you just give it 9 out of 10 stars, I'm going to question it. If you paid for it yourself and you give it 9 out of 10 stars, I'm probably not going to question it, unless you're just a fanboy.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I got some socks to evaluate, right? I've been doing sock videos and things like that. Mm-hmm. And the first pair they gave me, I wore holes in pretty quickly. They gave me a replacement pair. I wore holes in those pretty quickly. I got the first pair they gave me, I didn't send in under warranty. The second pair I bought out of my own pocket. That's right. And those wore out pretty quickly. They sent me a replacement pair under warranty, nothing special. It's the same warranty everybody gets. Mm-hmm. And I would disclose in the video, these were given to me, these I bought, blah, blah, blah. The warranty pair, I've been actually writing down every time I wash them, what detergent I use. Do I wear them at work? Do I wear them at home? Do I wear them while I'm deer hunting? And I've been keeping track, and I just finally wore a tiny hole in one of the socks. And now I got to go and write that on there. And I'm not trying to doctor it. I'm trying to say, this is my experience with it, good or bad. They didn't say, we're going to give you these free pair, do a good review. They said, try to wear them out. Go for it, mm-hmm. Right? I would rather them come back to me and go, all right, why are you wearing holes in these things? The only thing is this replacement pair has lasted longer than the pre-production pair and the early production pair. I'm wondering if it's a production issue. Now, if I say that in the video, am I making excuses for them? Are people going to think I'm shilling? So I try to be as transparent as I can to say, look, I bought this or I was given this or something like that, because I don't ever want to be accused of being a shill, because I don't like shilling and I'm critical of it. but I'll be a hypocrite if I do it myself. But I know, like you were saying, it would make things so much easier if I just chilled.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's the convenience of it. I mean, what you're doing is you're chronicling the lifespan of the product you're reviewing, and it's kind of strange. Like what the product isn't something that most people have a passing thought of. They just buy it, they wear it, they wear out, they throw them out, they get new ones. But you actually had like an advanced copy, so to speak. So maybe it was a production issue and they finally changed it, or a materials issue or something. And it's the same way with firearms, I guess, too, because look how the Hudson played out. You know, mine's a 4-digit serial number, which isn't super low, but it's quite low compared to some of the other ones out there. And you can see the evolution, sort of like the Mustang. There was 64 and a half, 65, 66, and all three of those are more or less the same car. Very subtle changes on the way up. And then 67 would have been the equivalent of the Hudson lightweight model that never went to market. But you got to see the evolution. So like somebody drove the 64 and a half and said, well, if I could change anything in this, I would do this. And then the 65 came out with those changes. And then maybe the same person tested that one and goes, it's better, but it still does this prematurely. So then the 66 comes out and they're like, how about this? And they're like, all right, now you got it right. And you're happy with it. And as soon as you say that, oh, here's the new one. You want to test this one? It's like, wait a minute. You just got this one right. It's the way the market works. And everything's commercialized anyway. The only thing I took away from SHOT Show, Ben's daughter's pretty hot. From Classic? Yeah. Anyway.
Ben's a deuce, though.
I know, but you can't take it out on the daughter.
You can try.
Anyway, don't tell my girlfriend that. She'll kill me. Anyway, so yeah, I guess that bled into one long-ass, personal week in review. What did you do this week, Scott? I know you got a few things.
Not too much. I did get a new gun. Technically 2.
Mm-hmm.
I already have... One of them is basically a copy of one I already have. But it was unfired, and my local had it for a really good deal, so I picked that up, which was a P320 X Compact. It's got it labeled as an X carry, but it's an X Compact. Mm-hmm. And I drunkenly bought a rusted, pitted M44 Mosin that showed up.
So you're essentially going to do, what's the gun that I did that to? You're basically gonna copy my Carcano restoration video, like the boiling vessel and all that stuff. That's fine. I mean, there's what you had happens to me every once in a blue moon. I'll see something on Gunbroker, and I'll follow Othias's mantra of, I'm gonna place this bid. This is as much I'm gonna spend, flat out of the gate. Like, even though the minimum bid right now is at $99, I will put in a bid for $400 and walk away, because the system will automatically incrementally reach your max for you. And then you forget about it for like a week, and then all of a sudden you have an email going, congratulations, you won. And you're like, what the hell did I win? And then you click the link and you're like, oh, sweet baby Jesus, I really didn't want this in hindsight, but now I've got it.
Yeah, I kind of did that. I was hoping somebody was going to outbid me, but nobody did.
I've developed a very keen eye for finding good milsurps, if you hadn't noticed. This is not directed at you. This is just, I'm declaring this on the channel. But if you've seen a lot of my This Old Gat reviews or videos, then you can see what I typically start with. And if it's in really bad shape, I will disclose that at the very beginning of the video. So I have a This Old Gat that's coming up. I haven't started recording it yet, but full disclosure, it's a beater of a Berthier. The only thing that this gun has going for it is it has a perfect chamber and rifling down the barrel. But the outside of the barrel is ugly. It's not pitted to death, it's just ugly. And then the stock's been cut down, and the bolt's a bit rusty looking. Back plate's a bit rusty looking. It's a derelict. But I've got plans for it, and then I'll walk you through it. I'm going to turn a piece of charcoal into a diamond, I think, with that one. It's just I'm trying to figure out a plan of attack to do it. But if you saw like the Carcano video that I did, or my Swiss 89 straight pull, where I took it completely apart and restored it, I've got a really good eye for these things. So like, if you ever join the server here, which if you want to join my server, there's an email address in the description to this video. Send me an email, I'll send you a code. And now, I said I was going to do this last week, and I forgot, but I'll do it after the show. Check the description in the video after the show. And what I'm going to do is, I'm going to open the server to the public today. And I'm going to put in a code in the description of the video, so that way if you see this later, you can just use that code, because I'll set it up infinite time. But I'm going to limit it to 50 users. I don't think it's ever going to... No, I'm not going to take 50 people. Like, it'll take forever to get 50 people in here. But at the end of the show, maybe this evening, check the description, and there will be a link in there. So if you want to join the server, just click that link. You can join the server. If you don't know about Discord, you can use it on your computer, you can use it on a tablet, you can use it on your phone, you can use them all at the same time on all those devices, and whichever one you're actively on, it'll switch you over to that one when you log into the server. But anyway, why did I mention that? Damn it. Anyway, the point is we will point out things in the server through the text channels for deals. That's what it was. So if I post a link in the guns and ammo deals, I'm not selling a gun. I think Never Enough Ammo's server got taken down once because users were selling their guns in that channel between each other or whatever. I'm not doing that, so I don't think we're going to have that problem here. But if I post a link to like an auction, it's because it's something that piqued my interest that maybe I don't want to buy myself, but it's in the kind of condition that is acceptable to me to recommend it to somebody. Stuff like that. So we share that kind of information all the time, like either through private messages or whatever. But like if I put a link up there, it's probably worth buying just because conditionally it looks the part. And most of the sellers I deal with are pretty upstanding people. So like one guy that I watch, supposedly he had a reputation for doctoring guns, but I've never seen it personally, so I can't say that. What I can say is if he has a gun for sale, like a milsurp, he will take it completely apart, action out of the receiver or out of the wood, stock, everything, and show you the condition before you even put in a bid. That's what you want to see, because you don't want to buy this thing, have it shipped over, you pay your transfer, you do your paperwork, you do your background check, you bring it home, you pull it out of the stock, and there's holes in it big enough to throw a cat through with rust that you didn't see because it was underneath the stock. He shows you all this stuff. So anyway, we have that on the server. If you want to see things that pique my interest, that you think, I don't know anything about these, ask. We can answer that question here. If you're worried about condition, ask. I'll tell you why I selected it. I'll tell you why it's worth buying or saving. Now, the only other deal, quote deal, that I've been trying to work on locally is I'm trying to get collector's firearms. I live in Houston, so I have collector's firearms here, or my local FFL. And what I've been doing is I've been asking them or inquiring them through email, hey, do you have any fixer-uppers on the cheap? Because the last time I got the answer to that question was from collectors, and they said, yes, we do. Here's a link. And I turned around and I bought an M38 Swedish Mauser for like $200, and it was a fixer-upper. It had the wrong upper handguard on it. It had the wrong barrel band retaining ring, barrel band, I guess. It had the wrong retaining spring for that barrel band. It was missing action screws, and I think there was one other thing. Oh, the sight hood was missing, and I didn't realize it was two pieces until the first piece came. But if you go to a gun show and you look at Swedish Mausers, M38s are kind of a special thing because they're a 6.5 caliber round. They shoot really well. They don't kick you to death when you shoot it. And they typically sell for anywhere in my area between $700 to $1,200. I got $200 in mine, and I've got about $60 in small parts. And the rest was my time and labor. I think episode 9 of This Old Gat was me restoring that. So that's another thing I like to do is I talk to locals and I'm like, do you have a fixer-upper section or a gunsmith special section? If you see those, even if it's not a link I posted, but something you found and you want to ask, hey, is this worth saving? You can post the pictures and things in Guns and Ammo or Gun Pics and ask that question, and one of us will answer that for you. We'll say, yeah, that's worth saving, or no, look down the barrel, you idiot. It's completely smooth. Stuff like that. We recently came, between, I think Scott and I, we recently came across a listing for, I want to say it was Indonesian Dutch Mannlicher, right? A nil.
Ooh, that one.
Yeah. And the rifling on it was questionable because you could see spots where it looked worn. And for once, that didn't scare me because I'd found a company that makes carbide rifling buttons in any diameter you need. And this one was in 303, but it was slightly oversized. I think 303 British is a 310 to 311 round in diameter. This was a 312 bullet button. So if I had bought that gun, that episode of This Old Gat would be me showing you how to re-rifle your barrel by scouring it with a bullet button, because it has the same lands and grooves cut into it as a standard rifle 303. So it's not like you're adding lands and grooves. What you're doing is you're running this carbide bit, and you basically grease the absolute hell out of the inside of the barrel. Like you just run Marvel Mystery Oil or Lucas Oil, something real thick that sticks to everything, and then you just pound that bullet button down the barrel, and it's going to follow the rifling as it travels. And what it's going to do is it's going to scrape and scour all the imperfections out of that barrel until it pops out the other end. Now, if it's heavily pitted, it's going to be very lightly pitted at the end because I'm only taking 1,000th off. But what it's also going to do is it's going to sharpen all the edges of the lands and grooves that may have started to round off over time. So that is still depending on what you have to start with. If you guys go in there and you send me a picture of a rifle and it has a down bore shot and you go, is this worth saving? What I will do is I will look at that rifling and then I will go to that guy and ask if he makes a bullet button for it. And if he says yes, and it's only 1,000 off, I would say, yes, go ahead and do that, and then follow this video that I did on how to scour the barrel. But if it doesn't, like if it's something like the 8x56 Siamese Mauser that I'm sitting in front of, I would probably say walk away. Because Siamese Mausers, you can only get a Siamese Mauser one of two ways. It's either in really good shape or it's a completely rusty, rotten derelict. I got lucky. I got the former. Anyway, okay, so that was Personals Weeks in Review. You picked up 2 guns. So one was the SIG, and one was the M44. That's right. Okay, so you did mention that. All right, so we've already burned an hour of your time, which is amazing because one thing that I mentioned on this show is I go into these thinking I never have enough material to share with you guys for a 2-hour show. It's always like an anxiety thing that I deal with. But then at the end of the show, It ends up going just slightly over time or just slightly under time. Or for the last 2 weeks, it went 3 hours, which what's wrong with you people watching that? Anyway, um, we're trying to avoid dead air, essentially. So, like, back in the day, gun channels lobbies of old, you would see an 8-hour video and there'd be 45 minutes of talking and 7 hours and 15 minutes of spotty dead air. So that was one of the reasons I didn't want to do a show like this, but so far so good. Anyway, since there's only 2 of us, I suspect this is going to run a little short, but it's fine. It's fine.
I never know. Tony might show up.
Maybe. It's fine. Either way, whatever. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the news. Strangely enough, I only have 4 stories for you this week because the 5th one is the SHOT Show hangover thing that I was talking about. So we'll get to that part last. Just bear with us. I've got 4 stories for you. They're not bad. They're pretty good, actually. So the first story comes out of Kenosha, Wisconsin, strangely enough. And Kyle Rittenhouse is back in the news again, but not in the way you think. Some of you may remember the name George Zimmerman, and some of you may only remember that name because you remember the name Trayvon Martin. When Zimmerman had basically won his case, it seemed like every time he turned up back in the news, he was doing something that most people thought was crappy. Or he would get himself into trouble. It was sort of like when O.J. Simpson got acquitted. Anytime the news covered him after that, he was doing something bad or criminal, right? And they were just like really riding on him. With Rittenhouse, it's sort of the opposite. When he gets on the news after his case was found, after he was found not guilty, it seems to be like Nicholas Sandman plus P. When he comes back into the news, something major is about to happen, beneficial to him, which in turn reinforces the concept of liberty and freedom for the rest of us, right? So he was acquitted of all charges, which taught the nation that you have every right to defend yourself. That's what it taught us. It also taught us how not to prosecute a case, because that guy was an absolute joke.
Binger.
And it also showed us how to defend somebody if you are a counselor. So that's amazing. There was a lot of positive things taken out of that case in terms of societal norm. But he's back in the news for a slightly different reason. And what I will do is I got to go over here and I got to click this here. There we go. So, Rittenhouse is filing a lawsuit with, I think it's Kenosha PD, and he's demanding he gets his AR-15 back that was used in those shootings, and any other piece of property related to the case that was seized from him. My favorite part about this picture is trigger control. He has it right there. It's obvious. He's not being reckless. But the reason why he's asking for this stuff back is also not reckless. And frankly, it's kind of honorable. And the reason being is he's asking for his gun back so he can see to it personally that it's destroyed. Now, most of the time I don't agree with the idea of destroying a firearm just because it was used in a crime. I think it's, number one, it's not the fault of the tool used, right? So we didn't cue Bonnie and Clyde's Ford V8 sedan, did we? We didn't crush it. We kept it. We preserved it. It's in a museum, right? I'm not saying we take...
with it.
Yeah, went on tour with it, actually.
Toured with it.
But I'm not saying that this gun should be locked in a case and shown off to the world. because it's not a special rifle. I mean, if you look at it, you know what parts are in it. Any one of you can build that rifle out of parts. Any one of you. Me, when I build something that I've seen before, it's usually a milsurp. So, like, for instance, I wasn't going to mention this yet, but I'm trying to build a copy of the Lee Harvey Oswald Carcano because I have the scope. By some sheer dumb luck, I bought the same scope that he had on his rifle. And I thought, oh, maybe I should build a 735 Carcano similar to that one. Because most of my collection is firearms used in movies or television, but that one's got kind of a historical thing. And I just think, man, why not? You know, the gun's cheap, the scope I already have, maybe I'll build one. But that AR that he used, there's nothing special about it. You know, it's not like it's got a binary trigger. It doesn't have like some super optic on it. Every piece on that gun is something you can go out and buy today and put together yourself. But I guess what he's trying to do is he's trying to destroy the talisman itself. He doesn't want somebody actively seeking out this gun to own it so they can brag, I got the gun that Rittenhouse used. And he doesn't personally want to keep it for himself. So he was like, might as well just get rid of it. So in terms of his motive for that, good on him. I don't agree with it. Like, if it's your gun, why don't you just keep it? You know, keep it for yourself. Take it apart, change all the parts in it, put stuff that you want on it, if you really wanted to. I think there was a gun manufacturer that actually made him a really nice AR after he was acquitted. Like it's all Cerakoted and everything.
There's a couple.
Yeah. Like I'm pretty sure they built him one that's got like the American flag Cerakoted across it or something. But which means he doesn't really have a use for this one anymore. But if he wasn't given that, you know, he could just take that thing, change the stock, change the handguard, change whatever he wants to on it, and, you know, transform it into something else so it doesn't resemble the gun that he used anymore. That's the nice thing about ARs. They're Legos for adults. You can just change it any way you want it to your preference, how you want it to fit, how you want it to look, what color it is, whatever, right? You can do all that. But I mean, if he's really just trying to just destroy the talisman, because when I read this story, it rubbed off to me like those weirdos that live in the woods and fuck their sister and eat squirrel and jerk off to Nazi paraphernalia that they buy, you know, like those types of people. I think if his motive is to keep that gun away from that kind of person, then by all means, get your gun back and have it destroyed. Fine. I get it. Anyway, what's your thoughts on this?
I ain't got no problem with that. It's his gun, no matter what he wants to do with it.
Right. So yeah, it's his property. Let him do what he wants with it. I completely agree. Well, shit, that was an easy one. Somebody right now is on a satellite internet connection in the woods, eating a bowl of squirrel, looking at his sister like, girl, you look good.
Uh-huh.
And they're offended by what I said earlier. Anyway, moving right along. I do that with... Oh, I'm going to start reading some of the chat. So Play Nice says, I do that with guitars sometimes. Tribute Styley. Eric Clapton, Blackie, SRV, Billy Gibbons, Miss Pearly Gates, etc. I will have you know, sir, my first guitar was a Fender Stratocaster Tobacco Sunburst. I traded it because I bought the Fender SRV tribute guitar with the gold controls and, you know, all that stuff. The SRV on the side of the on the scratch guard, it's not like Stevie Ray's. They did the generic block text on it, and that kind of irked me a bit. I also had Eric Clapton's gunmetal gray Strat with the Fender lace pickups on it, and I had a Gibson Les Paul that had the green translucent stain on that Tiger Stripe maple body because it looked just like the guitar from Silverchair, the Australian band. And then Gresh White Falcon, which I think Robert Smith of The Cure has. I love that guitar. Like, never, ever, ever gonna sell that. I love White Falcons. I love Gretsch. Um, what I'd really like to own though is another Gretsch that's got the Union Jack painted on it, and it's gonna be impossible because they hate each other. But I'd really like to get Noel and Liam Gallagher's autograph on it because it's the guitar from Oasis. But they hate each other, so I don't think I'll be able to get that ever done because one will look at the other's signature and not sign it. They'll be like, I'm not putting my name on that. So that's a problem. But I really want that one too. And then what's really tragic is my musical talent ceiling ends at strings. I I love them, but I'm not they don't love me back. I'm not good at it. As much as I adore them, I can't do it. I can play almost anything else. I cannot play stringed instruments. It pisses me off so much. Plus when I do play these days, arthritis. Like I can't fret the neck for very long. It hurts. And that sucks. Like it took it away from me and that really like my age took something I love away from me and I hate that. I remember that Epiphone did have a Union Jack one. And then I also wanted to get a copy of BB King's Lucille, and I can't remember who used it. I talked to Angelina about this years ago. There's another Gretsch that I want that's like burnt orange, and it's got the Cadillac bridge on it, and I really like the look of it. But I would die a happy man with a white Falcon, all white with the gold controls, and the Union Jack one. I can live without the other ones, but I'd prefer not to. See, I used to have this strange dream if I was good at guitar, if I got better at it. I always wanted to build an early 50s model Cadillac and airbag it, paint the whole body, or chop the top 7 inches, paint the whole body of it flat satin black, have all the chrome pieces copper plated. There's a car that went to the SEMA auto show years ago that was close. And then open the trunk and it would be an amplifier back there I could plug a guitar into. Like I always wanted to do that, but I just don't have the ability. I could build the car. I just can't play the guitar. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it was Brian Setzer's guitar, now that you mention it. Who once, first time I saw Brian Setzer, think it was, I think he played the Big Bopper in the La Bamba movie. I think. Yeah, I think he did. That's what made him famous, actually. I remember there was that one time in music when swing came back for like a couple of months. And Brian Setzer's orchestra was big on the radio. I was like, that's kind of cool. Anyway, next story. I captioned this one, Alec Baldwin cannot stop being a hated shitlord. So here he is. He's being sued. Now he's got all the problems with rust on him already. This is on top of this. He's being sued for $25 million by the family of a fallen Marine. He had donated, I think it was $5,000 to the family of the fallen soldier because they had a newborn kid. And then I think he reversed course because he was basically trying to just make his image look good. He was saying something like, I'm paying tribute to the fallen soldiers or whatever, like to make himself look good. And then he turned around and he said that somebody, I don't know if it was him or if it was a family member of his, was seen at the Capitol riots or whatever. And he was trying to like either stop payment or demonize the family after that. So now they're basically suing him for defamation. They were like, "How dare you do that? We weren't anywhere near DC or whatever," right? So it's like a conjecture-based lawsuit, I guess. But it's like you killed a person on set. Then you lied about not pulling the trigger. Then you take softball questions from George Stephanopoulos and fake cry on camera. Then you run away to Vermont and hide with your wife and kids, I think. And then you turn around and do this. It's like, what a douche. Why can't he just fade off into obscurity? And strangely enough, I didn't post this in the stories for the day, but it's like, what's the deal with controversial Hollywood people fighting desperately to stay relevant? Because this is trying to keep his name and face on camera, right? It's fighting for just trying to be recognized. Kathy Griffin is the same way. You remember what she did? She went on the attack. She held that bloody head of Trump or whatever. She got canceled, right? And then she became all emotional, like, I'm the victim here. And it's like, go fuck yourself. Well, apparently she wants to be the victim again, because now she's got this sob story about her appearance at the New Year's Eve thing. What was it, NBC? Yeah. She did NBC's New Year's Eve tribute. And she went and requested a pay raise for that appearance. And what happened instead was the producer of the event chewed her ass and belittled her, threw her out of his office, then cut her pay. So now she's like, I'm the victim here. And it's just like, why don't you just quietly retire and disappear? Because you have just reminded everybody why America hates you. Had you just kept your head down and disappeared, people would have just forgotten who you were. Then at least you wouldn't be hated. You would just be nobody. Like, it'd be better just to be nobody with a bunch of money than to be hated with no money and no jobs. So just shut up and fuck off. Your thoughts?
Yeah, she just needs to go away.
Like her...
And Alec Baldwin is a huge douche.
Yeah, her, Baldwin, Joy Behar, Whoopi Goldberg. Just go away.
All the blowhard liberals.
Like, no... Who the hell... Like, I'm trying to figure out who the hell stays home and watches The View. Because that happens in the early part of the day, right?
Unemployed liberals.
Unemployed East German librarian-looking housewives that vote Democrat. That's who watches The View. Like, Whoopi Goldberg is not the woman she was when she was an actress doing, like, Sister Act. She's not that bubbly, fun person anymore. She's a fat, angry, bitter has-been with an opinion that only other fat, angry, sexless has-beens agree with. She's not the same person. She's morphed and twisted into this Jabba the Hutt of TV. Go away. Joy Behar. She was not that well known before she did The View. Okay, you were a comedian. I got it. But it's like, Ron White deserves more credibility. Jeff Foxworthy. Tim Allen. Those people are better comedians than she ever was. Louis Anderson, who died yesterday. Like, those people. But whatever. Just fade away. Go away. What was it? CNN lost 90% of its total viewer base in the last year, right?
Yeah.
Did they all move to The View? That's a joke. Not serious. How many people could possibly be watching The View still to keep them on air? Like, how are sponsors willing to put their name behind that show, knowing how much anger and resentment that show raises towards the show? I don't know. All I do know is we've gotten to the point now, cancel culture has run out of targets, and now they're attacking each other. And I find that beautiful. Now they're eating their own.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just waiting for Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema and Tulsi Gabbard to say, we're switching parties because that over there, that ain't us. I don't know. We're almost at the point now where it's like, you would think that there's enough people to finally, I'm going to get into this, make a viable third party. There, I said it. Anyway, let's move on. Third story. Let's see, how did I caption this? In this segment, labeled Thank You, Captain Obvious, Brian Laundrie. Yep, he's back in the news. Here you go. Admitted his responsibility for the death of Gabby Petito. According to his waterlogged journal that was found with what was left of his body, that was collected by the FBI. So, he's a domestic abusing, murdering scumbag who is worm food and alligator shit by now. But he at least had the decency to not leave the what if behind. Right? And you're still going to hell for it, but at least now you're not taking the express elevator. You had the decency to confess. You didn't have the courage to face justice, but then again, you also saved the state and law enforcement and the grieving families a lot of trouble, either financially or time or waste of judicial review, all that stuff. So it's like, I guess that's okay. I mean, he's gone. Good. I don't know. My thought on this, honestly, do you remember back when the cameras were on Laundrie's house and sometimes the mom and dad would pop out and disappear and come back? And everyone's like, where have you been? Where'd you go? What are you doing? Right? Well, doesn't it seem kind of strange that when, quote, the waters receded in that Florida Everglades reserve, that his dad sort of knew exactly where to take the FBI to find the body? And it's like, I have a theory. If he killed her and then was stupid enough to take her van back to his house and then finally realized what he had done, I don't think running away for several weeks before you opted out is something somebody would do. He was on the run. Like, he should have took that little thing. Somebody told me this before, and I thought it was, at the time, funny, but it's tragically possible. He could have went to the southern border of Texas. While the coyotes are running people into Texas, he could walk backwards into Mexico. Like, that's what a person on the run does. He went to the Everglades to hide because he couldn't get out of the state. But he was probably trying to figure out how. Or his dad and mom were bringing him supplies, telling him what's going on and how, to keep moving or hide or whatever, because regardless of what his son has done, it's still his son. There's still a father's love or a mother's love, right? So even though they don't want their baby to die, they're trying to keep him from getting caught or whatever, which I'm sure someday they're going to link accessory to this, to the parents. They have to. There's just no way. But my theory was, Dad popped out one day, came back home hours later, and I kind of wonder if he went, saw his son, and put one in the back of his head. I really do. Like, maybe Dad was decent. And it was like, did you do this? Yes. Bang. I didn't raise a kid to do that. Bang. Whatever. That's my theory. Can't prove it because they didn't find his whole skull. It's probably in a chunk of gator shit somewhere. Anyway. Dirty laundry. Back in the news. Your thoughts? You have any?
Yeah. It's pretty likely the father probably killed him.
Think we'll ever know?
Because, no.
I don't think
we'll ever know.
I'm thinking they have to find a way to corner the parents in such a way where they confess that, yes, they were bringing supplies and stuff to him. There has to be. I mean, they bought him a burner phone, right? So they did obviously see him at least once. I don't remember if they found the burner phone with his body, though. He had a
No,
backpack.
well, from what I read, but the FBI might not have
Disclosed it.
let that little thing slip either.
Yeah, especially if they're trying to build a case against the parents. Speaking of, now I didn't cover this one either, and I wanted to. I don't know why I didn't add it in there yesterday. Maybe it was the whiskey that did it. There was a guy, 17 years old, local to me, called his 15-year-old girlfriend to come out. She walked the dog. He led her out into a field. He shot her in the back 22 times and killed her. It took, I think, 2 days, but they caught him. And as the story began to unfold, this is where it gets weird. He was cheating on her with another girl. The girl that died must have found out about it and called him out for it. Then he calls her and says, "Hey, come meet me here. I want to talk." Right? So he lures her out and murders her, even though he's the one that was the cheater in the first place, right? Kills her, gets caught. What does the district attorney of Houston do? And what does the weak, pathetic excuse of a fucking judge do? Drop a low bail. And he got out 48 hours after he was arrested. What the fuck?
Yeah, he should have been found strung up 48 hours later, too.
Well, see, that's kind of what I was thinking. Like, if the judicial system doesn't solve this, I thought vigilante justice will catch up to this kid, and it didn't. And it's unfortunate, because he's got the eyes of a dead fish. There's no excuse for what he did. How much hate do you have in your heart to shoot somebody 22 times? Like, stabbings you can sort of explain. You do it in the heat of the moment, bang, 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 bang. You just keep stabbing away, right? 67 times or whatever. I get that. 22 rounds if you don't have a fun stick on your Glock. You have to stop, reload, and continue shooting, right? Now, I don't know what gun was used. I don't know if they ever even mentioned it. But let's realistically assume that this 17-year-old kid has a stolen gun that doesn't take 33-round mags. Let's just assume that. He had to stop and reload. If he was in California, he would have had to stop and reloaded twice, right? 10, 10, and 2. At least. So, my theory behind that one is, well, the justice system in my state or city is garbage. The DA needs to be removed. The judge needs to be taken off the bench, because this kid is probably halfway to Tierra del Fuego by now. Out on bail, probably ran straight for the border. If the kid had a brain cell left in his head, he should be in South America by now. Might not be, don't know, don't care. I thought maybe somebody would pull a Jack Ruby on him. Didn't happen. I thought maybe karma would catch up to him Final Destination style and a log would fall off a trailer and go right through the windshield into his face. That didn't happen. Giant plate glass window didn't fall from a skyscraper as he walked out of the jail and got crushed. None of that happened.
Crash.
It's like, there's a saying, good things happen to good people, right? How come bad things don't happen to bad people? Anyway. Hang on a sec. Jesus Christ. He came in to warn me that 400,000 people have died from Omicron. I don't give a shit. I'm sorry. It's weaker than the flu. And he had to tell me about that. Anyway. What was I on about? Oh yeah. Like, couldn't the kid like trip over a stump and fall into a wood chipper? That's all I'm saying. Sorry. All right. This next story, I'm taking you on a trip, and we're gonna cross the pond into Norway. What could possibly be news from Norway? That's probably what some of you are wondering. Isn't it like 60 days of darkness or something up there? In the most northern parts, maybe. There's a name I'm going to say that many of you are probably not going to recognize, and that is Anders Bering Breivik. And if you don't know that name, it's okay. You don't need to remember it, because nobody needs to remember who this douchebag is. But he is known in Norway as the worst mass murderer in the country's history. Now you probably know who I'm talking about. Wait a minute, where'd it go? Huh, hang on a sec, I might have to fix this. Yeah, I do. How did I miss this one? Oh, here it is. Yeah, there you go. So now you might recognize this guy. His name is Anders Bering Breivik. He is known as the worst mass murderer in Norway's history. Period. Like, this dude is a monster. He was the one that showed up to trial every day with what looked sort of like a cross between the Hitler salute and the Hydra salute. Hail Hydra. Did I just do that? Shit. Anyway, he would hold his fist out like it was some sort of salute. Every day he went into trial. He was found guilty of murder, obviously, and because of how wacky the Scandinavian justice system works in Norway, he was found guilty of murder. Okay. One count. He was found guilty of one count of murder. Because murder is murder no matter how many people you murdered, right? He shot 69 people. He blew a bomb and then the bomb killed, I think, 8 people. Yeah. And then he went and he was Jason Voorhees. He went to a summer camp island of young children and adults and mowed down 69 people. Like, this dude broke the mold and rewrote the rules on mass killings. This guy's a monster. Well, because of the way that their justice system works, he was only sentenced to 21 years. That was 10 years ago. He's only 42 years old now. If he serves his full term, he'll be 53 when he gets out. But he's actually asking for parole. This guy has a luxury condo for a jail cell. It has 3 rooms. It has a gym. Let's see if I can show you a picture of this. Okay, you can't see him doing the fist thing here, but this is what he's doing. That's the workout room in his private cell. It has a window and a curtain, a treadmill, it has all this stuff. He gets to take like college level educational courses while he's in jail. It's insane. Now, he does look like he's lost quite a bit of weight since his trial. He could just be working out or whatever. But this guy gets 3 hots and a cot and a 3-room cell. Exercise. I think he gets television. It's like being in Federal Club Fed, right? It's the strangest thing. What scares me the most, though, is he will only be 53 when he gets out if they deny his parole. He's asking for parole now at 42, right? There he is. He has not reformed himself one bit. He still believes in everything that he believes in. Who's to say this guy's not going to get out at 53 and just do the exact same thing a second time? Or a third time, or 4th time. he's young enough to pull it off. What if they give him parole and he does it right after parole? This guy's a monster. It's insane that he's even asking for parole.
I'm kind of surprised they didn't hit him with terrorism charges.
I think this is before domestic terrorism charges became a big thing. This was back in 2011. I don't know. Like, you can't even karma this guy. Like, how do you karma a guy like this? Like, you can't final destination this guy. He can't trip into a wood chipper. It's just too quick. Like, you know what? You put him in one of those hyperbaric chambers. You know those things that scuba divers have to use when...
Crank up the pressure?
Yeah, exactly. You put him in a hyperbaric chamber and you just crank it to 11 and just watch him implode. I think that's the only thing you can do to a guy like this. That's, man, evil.
Slowly increase the pressure, too.
Oh, yeah. Give him the most excruciating headache first.
Time.
Yeah. No, you spot on. Or if you're Jeremy Clarkson, cube their heads. He had this one episode where he was saying that you squish their head into a perfect cube. Like, yeah, good. Go for that. Try to make Gumby's blockheads real. Anyway. All right, so the final story is not actually a story. And the theme of today's show, despite the fact that I've disclosed monster after monster after monster, and then Kyle Rittenhouse. I started off with Kyle Rittenhouse. I wanted to start positively, but then it went monster, monster, monster. Sorry. But final story of the day is actually just the theme of the show. The SHOT Show 2022 hangover. Everybody right now is hugging and saying their goodbyes. They probably did that yesterday, actually. A lot of people are hopping planes. Most of the manufacturers are probably tearing down their displays and everything. All the deals are made. All the signatures and contracts are signed. This is the part now where Squibb would say, all right, so which 10% of all you people at this show are actually going to produce what you made? What we do know is the 3-inch Colt Python is a reality because Golden Webb, the guy I did the gentleman's agreement with, already has one. I don't know how, but he's already got one. He's self-funded, and I don't think he gets T&Es. I think he has to buy everything he gets too. So that's already out. We know that. We also know the VHS-2, also known as the Springfield Helion, that's coming. Nothing Fancy doesn't like it. I'm on the fence. I really like it. I know Springfield makes it, but I still like it.
They don't make it, that's the thing.
Yeah, the Croatians do.
The Croatians do. Right.
If I get one, because I like it, I really like it. I think it's very likable. I want to find a muzzle brake that looks like the one from Starship Troopers. And I want this to try to look a little bit like a Murata battle rifle. That's hard to say for me. Murata battle rifle. There you go. I'd like to do that if I get one. What I wouldn't like to do is pay $2,000 for it. I think that's a bit steep. You get it down to like $14.99.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you get it down to like $14.99. I'm game. I'll pay $1,500 for it. Sure. $2,000 plus? No. When they announced it, I went straight to Gunbroker because I knew Fuquay Guns and a couple other big sellers probably already have one, and they did. And they were fetching $3,200 for them. Now, I'm sorry. Exclusivity doesn't matter to me. Being the first to have it doesn't matter to me. As long as I get one, that's fine. I don't have to be first. I don't have to pay 50% over MSRP just to be first. That's the saying, a fool and his money are soon parted, is pointed right at that situation. I don't have to be first for that. Are you kidding? I'll keep the $1,000. Anyway, so we know that those two things are definitely coming out. We don't know when the Franklin Arsenal Glock Echo trigger and slide system is going to be out. We saw it. Some of us like it. Some of us hate it. I think it's a really fun way to waste a bunch of ammo quickly. And I think controllability may become a factor. The FFL I was talking to yesterday, he hates it. Because...
Of course he would. He's a FUD.
Well, not... Okay, he's an old guy who carries a Browning high power. I'll give you that. But what he doesn't like about it is, he said, think about the noob who gets one of those and pulls and draws his pistol and forgets that he left it in binary. So he pulls the trigger once and he thinks it's over and he lets go as he's moving the gun away and hits somebody. And I thought, I can see where you're going with that. I get it. But I'm like, that's just muscle memory and training, right? The switch is in the same place as a Glock 18. I thought maybe you would train for that. And he goes, come on, man. He goes, nobody trains. Most people who buy this shit don't train. I was like, I train. He says, well, yeah, but he said the majority of people out there, they'll buy it because they think it's cool and they're going to mag dump like crazy. And then one time they're going to take it out and actually have to self-defense shoot or something, leave it in binary by mistake, and then that situation happens. And I'm like, well, when that time comes, we'll have to deal with it. But he raised a very good question. We have an ATF that loves to think that they're in charge. And they love to think that they can dictate law and doctrine. And they can move the goalposts to accomplish that. Which blows my mind. Like, why are they even still in existence, first of all? And then who gave you that fucking authority? Unchecked. That nobody could seem to reverse. And his question, or his thing was, what they have done, Franklin Arsenal, is potentially dangerous legally. Because now that it's in a compact handgun form, granted it's a Glock 17, now that it's into something as portable as a handgun, who's to say that the ATF doesn't shit all over this and ban all binary triggers after this?
Oh, you know they're salvating.
Yeah.
They're just drooling it. Going after that damn thing.
Which is going to ruin it for everybody. And that, he's right. That just blew the lid to Pandora's box open, I think. And what's really unfortunate is I still want a binary trigger for a Thompson. You know, the semi-auto Thompsons that are all over the market. They should make that. Make me one of those before it gets banned, please. Because then I'll actually buy a Thompson. But until then, I won't. Anyway. We know what's not probably going to happen. They're saying that that's not going to be out until, what, the end of the year this year?
Yeah.
So, unlikely to come. Because even all the people who showed it on their channels on YouTube this week, the same thing that they kept getting told was, well, this is a prototype, it's probably going to change a little bit. Never mind the fact that it's $900.
That's where I have an issue.
That's where I walk away. I mean, 2 years ago, Korth came out with a 9mm conversion cylinder for a 686 Smith & Wesson. And I thought, sweet, sign me up. And then I found out that that one conversion cylinder was, I think, $800. And I'm like, go fuck yourself. I'll just buy a 9mm and 10,000 rounds of ammo. Like, that's retarded. You buy a conversion thing for the convenience of it, but it shouldn't cost more than another gun. Like, fuck off. So I never bought one. I don't think Yankee ever bought one either. He just bought the Korth instead. So it's like, we know what's coming. We know what's probably never going to come. That binary thing, yeah, it'll probably come out. It'll probably come out just in time for Black Friday sales. And then that's when the ATF will probably make their move too, unfortunately.
Oh no, they'll make it before then.
Well, I'm sure the reason that they haven't yet is because Franklin has to make it, the production version, and I think then they have to submit it to the ATF for review, right?
technically, I think they have to, but I don't think they actually have to.
You think they're going to pull the
It's
same
like a
thing that, like,
voluntary.
well,
Rare
I'm
breed did.
wondering if they're going to try to pull the same thing that, like, the pistol brace manufacturers did. They got the green light for one, and then they made like 5 models after that without seeking approval. Even though mechanically they're the same device, they were just like, well, you were cool with this one, so why not this one, right? Because that did come up once. They were after a very specific brace, and they were like, you never applied for the go-ahead for this. And they responded, well, why should we? It's a brace. It's just like the one you did approve. And I'm thinking maybe Franklin might go that route and just say, well, you approved the binary for this AR. What's the difference? It's the same thing. Mechanically, it's the same function. That's what I'm afraid of. But that's not what we're supposed to talk about.
Well, they don't have to submit things to the ATF. That's the thing. Most people don't realize.
I thought they had
can put
to.
out. No, they don't.
So, okay, so if you do and they approve it, then you don't have to worry about it. If you don't, and then they say that's illegal as fuck, that's when you have.
You end up like Rare Breed.
Well, I thought you'd end up like Origin.
Rare Breed came out and they didn't bother submitting anything to the ATF.
Right, but I think the better example is the Fostech Origin, the shotgun.
Well, that was always going to be a NFA item because the way they designed it with the short barrel.
Well, I thought it was because they used the wrongly marked receiver or something. Wasn't that an issue with that?
No, that's AA-12.
Oh, yeah.
That was a semi-auto AA-12s.
Yeah, the AA-12s.
Because they basically used the same markings on the receiver. And it wasn't even that it was the same receiver. There's no way that receiver could have been converted to full auto. It's that it had the same markings as the full auto.
Well, so is every AR lower receiver though.
Mm-hmm.
And well, I guess we shouldn't give them that ammunition to use on us, huh? Because I'll just say, "Oh, you're right. We got banned there too." Well, it's funny when you mention the AA-12.
ARs are functionally lower because different because it doesn't have that third pinhole.
Yeah, but it does have the marking. When you said AA-12, the funniest thing that popped in my head was, oh yeah, I forgot all about those. You know what made me forget about that? The Tavor TS-12. I still want one. My local has one. It's in FDE. Kind of ugly in dookie color. It's a lot bigger than I thought it was, too. It's huge.
It's heavy as a bastard.
It is huge. It almost looks like... I can't remember if this is a real device. I remember seeing something that the military used. And I think it was a laser pointing device to guide a airdropped bomb or missile onto target. Like a man on the ground had to hold this onto the target and laze it. Big, clunky looking thing. This is old school. But that's what the AA-12 reminded me of. Like, I'm firing my laser kind of a thing. It was huge. I still want it, though. I still want it. Anyway, so the thing is that I brought up for this segment was not what's coming and what's not coming. Although that was a good tangent because that sort of brings it all back around to like what Squib was saying earlier. You go to this show because it's sort of like, I think I opened his eyes on that one actually. The Detroit Auto Show of 1949. That's what it is. That's what SHOT Show is because you got all the small guys. So today, this segment is actually about name a gun or a product. You guys can do this in the chat too. I'll read it out loud. Name a gun or a product that you saw from the 2022 SHOT Show that you liked or you would like to see more of or you would like to see available for sale. So it could have been one of those, maybe it's not coming, but you'd like to see it. And my choice was pretty simple, pretty clear cut too. Let me see if I can get this to pull up. So my choice was a pistol this year, and it was this. This is the new Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0 10mm. I believe this is a 16 round, so it's a 15 plus 1. 4 3/4 inch barrel or something like that. And it's laid out like a traditional M&P pistol. I kind of like it. Now, my first M&P was a Shield 40, and it was a bit ungainly for me at the time. But looking back on it, the way I held that gun in my hands, most of it was my own fault. Like, my grip has changed dramatically since I owned that, and my accuracy on pistols have gotten substantially better since then. So it was probably more me than the gun in that case. But to give it another try, a fair shake, what I ended up doing was I bought I think it was from SHOT Show 2 years ago. I bought the M&P 380 Easy Shield, and I do carry that. I carry it like usually in my rotation when I first started carrying, it would either be that or my Glock 43X, and I would switch back and forth every other day because I'm a child. I don't carry the same gun every day. But then one day I decided I was going to clean up part of the room that I store my guns in, and I realized that I've got like 15 different carry pistols. So I've tried to rotate them every day now, which is weird, I know, but it's like, I think it was 2 days ago. Well, let me start from yesterday. I carried the Easy Shield yesterday. The day before, because I had never done it before, and I just wanted to say I did it, I carried my Walther Mouthful Q5 Steel Frame Match Pro. I carried that with the SRO on it, and it fit in the same holster that I used for my Jericho. But the trigger guard kept snagging because of the way it's shaped, so that's not a good choice for holster in the long term. But I carried it anyway. And then I carried the Jericho one day. Then I carried the Steyr one day. Then I carried one of my Berettas, the 82 or 81. Then I carried the Hudson. I carry the Savage 1907. And I've got 3 third-gen Smiths, the 5906, the 40-06 TSW, and then the really strange one, where people kind of get a giggle, is if I ever carry my 3913 Ladysmith. And people are like, that's a girl's gun. And I'm like, why? Because it says Ladysmith on the side? Yeah. I'm like, because it's got this primer gray hard plastic grip? Yeah. Because it's single stack? Yeah. What about the 3913 NLS? What's that? Well, guys liked the Ladysmith so much that they asked Smith & Wesson to make them a pistol that didn't have the word Ladysmith on it, so they obliged, and they made the exact same gun without the laser engraving Ladysmith on the side, and they put black grips on it. Same exact gun. Oh, I didn't know that. Well, thanks, Bullwinkle. So I carry that too, just for the conversation piece. It's fun. People ask why I bought it. They were like, I thought you said your guns were a collection from things in movies and TV shows. Yeah. 3913 Ladysmith, Walking Dead, season 2 and 3. Andrea carried a 3913 Ladysmith. That's why I got it. I overpaid for it by a lot, I think, but it's probably right on par with what it's worth now, so I'm not really that bothered by it. But this gun here, this is my choice for what I like in this year's SHOT Show. If you look carefully, those sights are really tall. I don't understand why, because that's not a threaded barrel. I don't even know if they make a threaded barrel for 10 millimeter or 40. Have you seen one?
Yeah, they make them.
I've never seen a suppressed 40 or 10. I don't even think I've ever looked for a can for one. But I guess those sights, maybe there's one coming, because those are really tall. Like, there's no reason they need to be that tall, unless they're planning on a can for it. It's fine. Whatever. I like it. Would I buy it? Probably not. I would like it, though. Like, if the price was right, I would buy it. But I carry, in 10 millimeter, I carry a, strangely enough, brace yourself, a Rock Island Armory ProTac, which is 17 round 2011. 5-inch barrel, fiber optic sights, G10 grips. It's one of their nicer guns. You know, when people say Rock Island Armory, a lot of people giggle, but you got to give that company credit. They pulled, they did today, over the years, what Hyundai did in the 1980s. They started off with a bunch of miserable little rot boxes and developed a reputation of Rock Island's guns are cheap and not the best fit and finish, but they work, kind of a thing. And then after selling millions of their guns, they started to ramp up the quality. And then you ended up with the ProTac and the ProTac Ultra, which is the 10 millimeter double stack 17 round 2011.
Don't keep mentioning that.
I'm gonna, because you could buy one for a lot less than it's worth, and you should. It's the gun I would have bought, but the difference between the one I've got and the one I want Scott to buy, because his local has one, mine's a 5-inch barrel, traditional 2011 style frame, no rail, but it does have the fiber optic sights and it does have the same capacity. The one that he has access to has a 6-inch ported barrel that has a full underlug rail, and it's 17+1. And it's originally MSRP'd at like 13 or 1400 bucks, and he can have it for 8. And I'm like,
well, 8 and change.
I was like, why didn't
Under
you go buy
9.
that? Yeah, I was like, why didn't you go buy that? Now the only reason I bought mine was because I got mine for 600 bucks, and I thought it was a great deal. So I was like, yeah, I'll take it. And I don't regret it. Matter of fact, if a deal like yours comes up in my area for a Ultra, I'll probably buy it, and I'll keep the other one too, because I'm greedy. Got to have the set. They're all my Pokemons.
Now you gotta have dual. Now you gotta have dual.
Carry or
holsters
dual
made.
shoulder dual shoulder rig.
Yeah.
You know.
So that you may want some padding put in for.
Oh yeah, could you imagine running with both of those things slamming into your rib cage?
Ooh.
Oh. You know, that's a good point. I think I'm going to write Versacary. I'm going to say, hey, can you make me your shoulder rig with a left and right side draw? Because, I mean, they make a left-handed and a right-handed shoulder rig. So it's just a matter of what attachment they put on it. And then just have them put the mag holders below both of those. That'd be a heavy setup, though. I think if I do a duel like that, I'd probably just use mag pouches on my belt then, honestly.
Yeah, that's what you'd have to run.
Yeah. That's fine. It's fine. Just have 2 twin mag holders at your 5 and 7 o'clock on your belt. So you just reach behind and grab one. Man, that'd be wicked. You know, I still want the face-off rig that Nicolas Cage had, where he had the 2 1911s at the small of his back with the grips pointed outward towards the edges of his hips. I still want that rig, but I'm kind of stupid. Like, I want that with twin Desert Eagles. Like, I want 2 50s, 1 gold tiger stripe, 1 hard chrome tiger stripe. That'd be insane. That would probably add, 10 pounds of weight to me? That's fine. It's fine. Anyway, so that's my choice. M&P 10 millimeter. I think it's a full-size gun. 16 rounds. Tall sights. Nice trigger. Looks like a pretty nice trigger. They've really gotten better at that scissor trigger thing. I think that's... No, I can't say that because my Easy doesn't have the dingus. But I like it. And I think it's $569. I think that's the MSRP. That was what really sold me on it, is a 16-round 10 mil with what you would call M&P reliability and ergonomics. They shoot wonderfully. $569. That's a lot of firepower for $569. I'm cool with it. And I wouldn't be surprised if their new as a CSX. I finally read up on that. It's got an aluminum frame, so it's all metal. I would like to see the CSX in 10 millimeter. Now, it'll probably only hold 10 rounds, but that's fine. You can get extended base plates later in an all-metal 10 that probably won't kick as much. I'm okay with that. So anyway, that's my choice. Scott's choice is a little more dinosaur-y? I don't know. Jurassic World-y?
Yeah,
It's
say
something I
that.
own. Go ahead and talk about it.
Well, it's a 1895 Marlin SBL.
I just put the picture up for you.
Supposedly, Ruger has made some improvement to the design.
I'm okay with that. And when we were off air, we both talked about this. The action on the 95 SBL. Well, let me give you a little background. If you don't know what this gun is, this is the Marlin 1895 SBL as seen in the movie Jurassic World, which is why I bought one. I saw that movie and I'm like, I need that in my life. And it took me 2 years before I found one. And it happened by complete coincidence. I walked into my local and a guy was trading one in. He was like, I fired one shot out of this thing. I can't handle it. And I'm like, oh, really? So what makes this gun interesting and unique is it holds 6 rounds plus 1, 45-70. It has an XS top rail with the ghost ring sight included. I can see one major difference already between the Ruger made and mine. They put a fiber optic front sight on the new one.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty nice. So you put the green dot in the ghost ring. That's an improvement. I like that. Looks like the checkering pattern's the same. It looks like the butt stock pad is the same. So I would suspect that most of the changes that were done with this gun were internal to the gun. Because one thing you mentioned, now that I think about it, it makes sense. The action's a little grabby. It's a little clunky when they're new. Like, the action's not smooth. So they might have chamfered all the edges and maybe changed like the pivot angle of that lever internally, because it is a little weird. But otherwise, it's, externally the same gun, and they're brilliant. Like, I love mine. I'll never ever ever sell it. Like, I'll off myself with it before I sell it, and I like to be on this side of the grass, so that just tells you I'm never selling it. But I love it. It's the only gun I've ever had to use and fire in anger at another human being. That's the facts. Like, it's the only gun that I've ever had to do that with. But I love it. What I don't like about it is Ruger is going to build it, and they're going to proof test it 150% over standard. That I like.
That's probably why they changed things internally.
That's what I really like. Because anybody who knows 4570 knows that there are 3 loadings for 4570. There's one for the trapdoor Springfield, which is, I think, the weakest loading, because that was the black powder era. Then there's the 95, the Marlin loading, which is kind of an intermediate loading. And then there's the Remington Falling Block Model 1 loading, which is the strongest loading, which is intense. Like, it's a shove. You cannot load a Remington Model 1 loading into an original 95 SBL. You'll kill it. So, since Ruger likes to overbuild things to handle extreme pressure, I would like to see or hear from somebody at Ruger tell me, nope, you can do the Remington Model 1 loadings with this now. I won't sell mine to buy the new one, because I'm plenty happy with the middle loading. It does everything I need it to. But it'd be nice to know that in a pinch I could if I needed to. Or maybe send mine into Ruger and have them convert it, the internals. That'd be great. I would do that. So I do like that. That is a positive. Big positive. Fit and finish with Rugers, it depends on where they're made. So some people complain that some of their Rugers are fitted poorly or the finish is poor on them. And so far I've had good experience. My Ruger Alaskan, both of them that I've had, fit and finish were perfect. My SR 1911, which I think was made in Prescott, Arizona, the fit and finish on that was perfectly fine too. And then my 95 SBL, It was a first year model after Freedom Group bought Marlin. This is before Marlin was disbanded and all the original parts were still available and all the original techs and builders were still there. So mine was built with Marlin people, first year of takeover. But even then, the upper and lower tang is inlaid too deep into the stock for mine. Like it's not a smooth transition. So I'm hoping if you actually do end up getting one of these, that yours actually is a perfect transition between the stock and the tang, because that's the only complaint I have with mine. Other than that, it's wonderful. So hopefully with the bigger corporation taking over, maybe the quality will be a little bit better. I hope. Because it's a great gun. What I don't like, asking price. Tell us about the MSRP.
Oh, it's not cheap.
So I'm going to preface this. I paid $710 for mine. What's the new one going to sell for?
Double.
MSRP $1,400. Chances are, if you go to Gunbroker right now, I saw my build, $3,500. And I thought, ooh, my Marlin just got the Colt effect, the Python effect. I thought maybe I should sell it and then go buy a Ruger one. And I thought, no, that's stupid. But yeah, so the new ones are $1,400. That kind of hurts. So anyway, that's Scott's choice. My choice is the 10 mil Smith & Wesson. I was hoping Tony would be here today and he would tell us his choice, which, knowing him, I could tell you right now. Well, honestly, I don't give a fuck. There's nothing I like there. I've got everything I want and need because, you know, he's always just a bowl of oatmeal when it comes to things like that. So, all right, final segment is, what do you plan on doing for the rest of the weekend? You got anything going on?
I'm gonna go get my new gun from my gun shop.
The SIG.
And yes, the SIG. Maybe I might bring something down to him to see what he'll give me for it. I don't know.
Oh, ProTac Ultra's coming home. Okay, got it.
Maybe.
Maybe. If you guys join the server,
I technically own a 1911, so.
well, you still wouldn't. You'd have a 2011. That's a good way to start, without a doubt. I'm sure you'd like it. It's very likable. It's heavy, but you'll like it. And
that's the thing. I would have no purpose for it. That's
no, the Versacary shoulder rig.
No purpose.
Carry gun.
For that, because I don't believe in single action only guns.
Okay, I'll give you that. But I mean, my 2011 stays cocked and locked, ready to go.
Yeah, I don't believe in manual safeties.
Okay, but in this case, it actually makes sense. Like, it works. Or, okay, if you don't want to do cocked and locked on it, you can put it in the half cock position and leave the safety off. Still works. Trigger won't fall. Yeah. So you can do that. PNW Woods says he has to get his Mossberg 500 parts gun. I'm probably... Okay, so my weekend it's really nice outside. Like, the sun is out, there's no wind, but it's 47 degrees. I kind of want to go to the outdoor range, but I kind of don't because I don't like going by myself. It's kind of boring. And it's a really nice day out. Shit. I don't know. I'm torn between going to the range or I've got this new game. And that's kind of the funny thing. This new game is called The Captain. And I think if you guys follow my penny arcades, even you gun guys, you're probably going to love it because it's a very throwbacky thing. If you notice, most of the games I do is indie games and like throwback type games that look like games that we grew up playing. So this one kind of rubs off the same way, sort of Space Quest and Beneath the Steel Sky. And if you're a gamer, you know what both of those are, and if you don't, shame on you. But I'll probably record 5 episodes of that today if I'm not going out. I don't know. I can load about 3,000 rounds of 9mm right now, which I might still do. I might record those episodes today. I might go wash the car and a dog. Nah, it's not Oh Captain, My Captain. You'll see it though. I think you'll like it. It's the way it plays out seems really cool. I watched a friend of mine who is also he was a game channel first, and then I discovered that he's into guns and he's in California, which is kind of cool. I was like, "Oh, sweet. I got a playmate now when it comes to gun stuff." And I still need to join his Discord and let him know that because I think he and I can bang heads and chew the fat on that. We're roughly the same age too, so it works out pretty good. But I don't know. We'll see how it goes because there's outdoor range, there's wash the car, there's wash one more dog. Um, my 4 puppies, all their eyes are open now, and I technically think I still have one available. I don't know if it's a male or a female still available because my third buyer hasn't specified. But if you guys want a Yorkie, I've got one extra Yorkie. Or otherwise, I'm going to keep it, which means I'll have 7 dogs. Jesus Christ. So I got a lot I could do, but I've also got to go shopping, and I've also got to do something about this other bottle of Old Granddad I'm sitting next to. Oh, so Woods is binge watching Miami Vice, new or old one, and a show that since you brought up that, there is a show I'd like to talk about that I was late to the party for. If you've been on the chats regularly in the daytime, you probably heard me talk about it. If you haven't seen it, watch Fargo, the TV show, not the movie, because it's amazing. Like I watched the first season, and ensemble cast is amazing. So it's got what's his name, Martin Freeman from Lord of the Rings. He's in it, and Billy Bob Thornton's in it. There's like a bunch of like smaller, weller-known actors in there in the first one too. And then in the second season, it has oh crap, I forgot. Hang on a sec. I'll pull it up. Because it's actually a really good show. But what's amazing to me is, oh yeah, so the second season is, why is it not showing us this? Carl Weathers is in it. Or sorry, I got that wrong. Let me start that over. Patrick Wilson, which you may not know him by name, but if you look up the name, you'll recognize him instantly. He's in it. Kirsten Dunst is in it. Jesse Plemons. He plays a lot of smaller characters, but he's a major character in this one. Jean Smart, the actress Jean Smart, she's in it. Ted Danson's in it. This is all second season, by the way. Jeffrey Donovan's in it. Now, here's a name that's some of you will recognize, but I didn't at first. Nick Offerman plays a character named Carl Weathers. Nick Offerman was the guy that played, oh shit, it was on the tip of my tongue. Swanson in Parks and Rec. So he's in there. Like, it's a super good show. Macaulay Culkin's, I think, older or younger brother's in this too. And Bokeem Woodbine. You may not know him by name. If you look up the name, you'll recognize his face instantly. You'll be like, oh yeah, I know that guy. But yeah, this show is incredible. I think it originally came out in like 2015. So yeah, each season is a completely different story, but they all link together somehow. I'm on season 4 now, and I have not been disappointed. Love it. Like, absolutely love it. The butcher guy in the car wreck thing is pretty. Yeah, that's the season 2. It's really good because you watch season 1, and there's a character on there that talks about his past, and then season 2 is based off of his past, and then season 3 fast forwards ahead of time. So like the first season I think is what was the first season was 2006 era, the time around 2006. The second season backtracks to 1979 when the first season characters passed. And then the third season leapfrogs forward to 2010 or 11. And the third season has one of my Hollywood crushes, actually, as Mary Elizabeth Winstead. She played the daughter in Die Hard 4, if you didn't know. Smoking hot. And then Ewan McGregor's in that one, too. He plays two characters in Season 3, the 2010 timeline. And what's funny is it's not just North Dakota. The show takes North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and the fourth season is Kansas City, Missouri, 1950. So it goes way back. But what's funny is the very beginning episode of season 4 goes back to 1890. And I thought, how are they going to tie this together? And I still haven't figured that part out yet because I've only watched 2 episodes of season 4 so far. I can't wait to see how they're going to link that to the rest of the series so far. But it's incredible because the series was based off of a movie that only covered, I think, the events of season 1. And then they were able to expand it out incredibly. Sort of like they pulled the same trick with Westworld. Westworld's the same way. They took one movie and they blew it wide open with backstories. And they did a wonderful job of it. So I've got that to finish. If you haven't seen it, highly recommend it. One of the cool things about picking up a show that came out years earlier that you didn't watch, you end up finding a lot of actors that are famous now that weren't famous back then. And you're like, oh wow, all these guys are famous now. You get to see them in their early work, and now you know where they came from. So I love that. Which is kind of funny why I'm going to start watching Dexter, because I've never seen it. I know the premise of it, and I find it fascinating. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to like that one. And then I've got another True Detectives. I got to watch that one too. So I've got a lot of stuff to watch. But see, I got a lot of stuff to watch with the new girlfriend because she likes to binge watch stuff. And she wanted to see Fargo, and I couldn't wait. So I just watched it all. She's mad. She's like, you were supposed to watch that with me. And I'm like, I'll watch it again. It's fine. It's fine. Love it. So anyway, before I play the music and bid you all adieu, remember, I'm going to open up the server to the public today. I'm going to put out an invite code, which will be in the description of this video. So just take a look at that. I'm going to edit it later. So if you're not on my server yet, you can join. I'm going to try to set it to a set amount, and we'll see how many people take it. I think I'll just do it to... Let's do it to 20. I don't think I'm going to get 50 anyway. I'm going to do it to 20 people. If you try the code and it works, you're in. If it doesn't work, email me. The email's in the description below, and I'll send you a one-time invite directly to you. We can do that too. That way you can join the server. You can contribute to all the text channels. Let me show you those on the list here, because I know that I never do that. We are always up here, Lobby for Working Stiffs, Monday through Friday. It's just like Gun Channel's lobby chats of old. So if you were a fan of that, and you just want to shoot the shit with us, that's where you'll find us. This is channel here. If you're inactive for 15 minutes, the server just puts you in there automatically. You just jump back out and go back to the lobby. This echo chamber, that's just some place I go to. Like, I don't think anyone else could see it, but it's just where I go, where I just turn on the music bot, and, you know, if no one's around, I don't annoy people. And then stream channels, obviously. So what you're going to see here is the New Watch podcast. That's where Jimmy and Tony broadcast Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and apparently sometimes Thursdays. So they host their show through the server here. And then Penny Arcade's just where I record my my Penny Arcade videos. So like I do that through that channel. So only I can see it, because that way people don't jump in while I'm in the middle of recording. And then obviously this channel here is the one we're in for the week in review. And then MST3K. I don't know how much I can talk about this one. Basically, this is the watch party channel. So if you're interested in doing stuff like that, let me know. I'll give you more details on how that works, but we can do that. If you are a content creator and you'd like to join the server, and you'd like to host your shows similar to the way I do it or the way that the New Watch works, let me know. Because it's as simple as me clicking this button right here, and I will make you a channel that you can host your show through here. Because my ultimate goal is to make this channel, this stream channels thing, basically the new gun channels, a registry list of all the people who broadcast together under one banner. So like if you want to do a show and you haven't done it before and you're new to it, or you are familiar with doing it and you want to do it here, you're welcome to. I'll set it up for you, and I'll make it where you and your co-hosts, or just you, are the only person who can uh, enter the channel. So that way people don't just walk in the middle of your broadcast. Like one thing that I never do, which is something that people in the past have done with gun channels shows, which I won't do because I know it annoys people. You will never see me jump into the New Watch broadcast while they're doing a show. I just set up the channel so they can be seen, but I'm not going to jump into it unless they ask me to. So like, your show privacy is your show privacy. But anyway, the reason I mentioned all that is because you can join us in here. And these here are all the text channels. And we can add more or less or whatever based on the activity. So like, meme vomit and text shenanigans is what I call this one. This is just where 99% of the stuff we just shoot the stuff with and we post it here. Memes or stories or just whatever. And then these two channels will probably be invisible to most of you. This is for Jimmy and Tony to set up their shows and videos. And then game chat show prep. That's something that I may be working in tandem with Night Strike on. We're thinking about hosting a gaming chat once a week. So that's our show prep for that. This is obviously the week in review, where we add the stories throughout the week, many of which we use today actually. For anybody who hosts or wants to host or co-host the show, they drop in stories there for consideration for the show for the week. That's how we do that. This channel here is where people can type in the request for song bots. So right now I use a bot called Hydra, and I set it up just like bots past, where you use exclamation point play, type in the artist and then song. If it's on their database, it'll play. Right now it's bound to the meme vomit, or sorry, it's bound to the lobby and the echo chamber only. And if you want to listen to music or whatever, you can do that. You can pull up songs or whatever. So that's what that channel's for. Celebrity Death Pool 2022. So this one here, it's too late for you guys to enter this, but you can always watch us play this game and then enter next year's. So the way that the CDP works is I had taken all the participants and said, give me 11 names, 10 celebrities and a wild card. And the way this game works is, if that person dies sometime between January 1st and December 31st of this year, you take the year that they died, or the age that they died, subtracted from 100. So like, for instance, Louis Anderson died yesterday. So you take 100 years minus 68, because he was 68 years old when he died, and you had 32 points. And essentially what happens is, at the end of the year, I'm going to tally all the points, and whoever has the most points wins the Celebrity Death Pool this year. Last year's prize was going to be, well, since I won it, I'll just say that last year's prize is going to be the same as this year's prize. If you win, I will send you maybe I'll probably do a 3-pack instead of 2. A 3-pack of Lancer mags, of the colored translucent Lancer mags. Essentially, I want to send those to, a winner. So like, say Frankie, let's say she won this year. I would send her a 3-pack of purple translucent Lancer mags because she likes purple. If Scott won, I'd send him a 3-pack of the green ones. If Jaime won, I would, since he's got a magazine capacity cap in California, I'll just give him something of equivalent value. So what I'd probably send to him that I know he would use is like a Lee 3-die set in a caliber that I know he has, but he hasn't reloaded for yet. So there's going to be something. You will win something if you win the celebrity death pool. But we're already locked in for this year, so we'll just keep that up for now. But you guys can join it next year. Anyone can go in there and look at it too. And then anytime somebody dies, we put the story of their death in that channel so everyone can see it. So that's what that is. FARC-like news, there's a website called drewcurtis'sfarc.com. It's a funny way to deliver the news, essentially. What he does is the users take stories of the day and they put a funny caption behind it. So, like, the way I did the captioning for today's stories about, like, in this segment labeled Captain Obvious, Brian Laundrie admits his responsibility for the death of Gabby Petito, that's not what the headline of the actual story I used was. But that's the way they use it on FARC. They make a funny or an off headline to describe the story that you click on. So typically I put stories there that are either very outlandish or just weird. Weird stories goes into FARC-like news. Government, this one here, basically just, political bullshit. So like how everyone's picking on Joe Manchin. That would go there. Maybe there's a story about how Kyrsten Sinema was smoking hot when she ran for office, but as soon as she got elected, she started looking like Jeffrey Tambor with a wig and glasses on. Stuff like that. We would put stuff like that in there. Pets and animals, or sorry, I deliberately typoed this. Pets and aminals, show off your pets. So like I have Yorkie pics. Frankie has Shih Tzu pics. Stuff like that. You can post your animal pictures there, or just animals you like in general. Or if you want to share posts from Nature is Metal, you can post those there too. Foodie, pretty obvious. If you're cooking, if you're out to eat, that used to be a real popular thing. People would show off what they're eating. You can put it in there. Gun pics, pretty obvious. What you got, what you're modifying, building, what you just want to show off, or what you found on the internet that you like that you want to share. Gun vids, self-explanatory. Guns and ammo deals. This is not a classified section. This is not us selling guns to each other. This is nothing like that. This is just basically you saw a deal online, here's the link, that kind of thing. Or you saw something on Gunbroker, here's a link. So we are not selling anything here because Matt's Discord got shut down because people were selling things. We're not selling things. We're just sharing links for stuff that's for sale that probably doesn't even belong to us. But that's also where if you want to ask about a milsurp that you might be interested in and you want me to take a look at it, I will not cork you. If you send me something that I like, I'm not going to buy it out from under you. That's a scummy thing to do. But if you want me to look at it and tell you, yeah, do it, or no, don't do it, if you ever hear me say, I'd buy that, then yeah, obviously, that would be my endorsement. Go for it. Now, if you point it out and I'd say, yeah, I would buy that, and then you decide you don't want it, then I'll buy it. But chances are I won't. I'll just, that's what you want and I think it's worth it, I'll tell you. Or if you think that that's something worth restoring or salvageable, I'll tell you that. If you have questions on how to restore something that you did buy, ask away. That's what I did this old GAT for. If it's not covered in my other videos, I'll try to explain it to the best of my ability for something that I haven't done on video yet. So we'll do that. For instance, inletting a barrel into a piece of stock that I'm going to add on to my Berthier. I actually have a barrel channel file to cut that. So that's where that kind of question and answer would go. Trains, planes, and automobiles. The reason I called this channel this is because movie title, and I didn't want to steal somebody else's thunder. So there was a person that's on this server who chooses not to be here anymore for whatever reason, but on his server he calls it the motor pool, which it's the same concept. Trains, planes, and automobiles, boats, whatever, hot rods, classic cars, things for sale vehicle-wise, you can post it there. Hollyweird, sort of self-explanatory. Stories of Hollywood people doing stupid things. Kathy Griffin's crying session would go in here, for instance. CNN canceling the Cuomos goes here. The View being pulled off the air will go here. Ham It Up. This is for people who are doing amateur radio. This was at the request of somebody who was trying to deal with a shit hit the fan situation, and they were thinking this will be the post-apocalyptic internet. If you've ever watched Die Hard 4, you kind of get the idea of... what was his character's name in that show? Where he was in the basement and... What did they call him? The Warlock. Basically, it's stuff like that. So you would put that there. Bug in or bung out. Let's see. Olav Istov Pikoye. I had to get rid of that guy. Anyway, yeah. No, I took care of it. So anyway, where was I? Bug in or bug out. So this is where you would put, like your prepper stuff in here. So like, if you found, I don't know, alternative medicine, you can use this to cure this, or you can get these for this, or whatever. Medical things, prep things, home brew, engineering solutions, you name it, you can put it in there. Like, for instance, I happen to have a source for generic antibiotics, amoxicillin. So, like, if you want to keep it in your med bag, but you don't have a prescription, I know a place where you can get it so you don't need one. Things like that. I would share that in there. So, amoxicillin and phencyclidine, something like that. I can't remember the other one offhand, but I have access to stuff like that. What I'm trying to find now is a way to get amlodipine, because it's something that works for my angina, but I really don't want to have to go and get a freaking prescription for it every once in a while. Walmart's pharmacy will sell me 100 for $13, but they're like, you need a prescription. I'm like, it's not a narcotic. Fuck off. Anyway, there's that. Let's see. Other deals. So this is where you can post generic classifieds. So like, if you saw a deal on, I don't know, walkie-talkies, you can put it there. If you saw a deal on off-road tires for your Jeep, put it there. If you saw a deal for, I don't know, Wagyu beef at the farmer's market, put it there. That's what that's for. Knives, not Mister. This is where you would post things on cutlery, blades, sharpening implements, things like that. Mr. Knives would be welcome to come here, but he's too lazy to figure out how to get Discord to work, so this is my tribute to him, you fat, lazy git. Gun questions. Actually, I'm going to move this up here, up a little higher. So this is just generic questions here. I have so-and-so model this, I can't get it to work, how can I make it work? Stuff like that. Or, does anybody know anything about the difference between holographics and reflex sights? Things like that. You can put questions like that in there, and we'll answer them there. Let's see. Reloading info. So this channel, kind of obvious. If you want to share load data, for instance, I did a video on the, 43 Dutch Beaumont. If you want to know the load data for that, I would share the load information there, overall lengths, trim lengths, what primers I use, what powders I use. Anything reloading related, you can put in there. Questions, answers, or just stuff you want to share with people who may haven't asked it yet, but you already know the answer and you want to share it. Like, for instance, if you want to share load data for the Siamese Mauser, I've only got one load data, one table for it. If you have something else, post it there and I'll see if I can use it. Stuff like that. Pewter porn, pretty obvious. Most of us, we build or modify or upgrade our own computers. If you want to show off that, or like, hey, I just got this video card, or oh, hey, I just got this new M.2 drive. Stuff like that. Oh yeah, I put a bunch of neon lights on my computer. you can put it in there. Web comics and manga. So this channel is, say you read a web comic and you like it and you want to share it with the rest of us who may not know it exists. Uh, Me personally, I read two web comics currently. One's called The Whiteboard, which is a guy up in Alaska who is a machinist and a tinkerer and probably the biggest uh, paintball supplier and repairer in the state. So he does a story of his daily comings and goings being a guy who runs that kind of business, and he caricatures all the people in the story as animals. So like he's a polar bear, and then like his partner is, I think, a raccoon, and then one of the guys who works for him is a fox. Actually, I don't think he works for him. There's a female character who's a fox, and she's dating a guy who's a friend of his that's also a fox. And then there's one character who's a skunk. There's another one who's a snow leopard. You get the idea. There's a reason why he picks certain animals for certain people. So there's that. He even did a story arc where he was in the Matrix, and like Lawrence Fishburne's character was like a black wolf in glasses with the earpiece and his suit. Like they're standing up. They're not walking around on all fours. Just he humanized animals basically. So I read that one. I read another one called Sinfest, which is Tatsuya Ishida. He sort of covers the daily comings and goings. He got a little political in the process, but if you stick with it long enough, you'll see why he does that. Like I thought he went full leftist, but then the latest part of this arc sort of puts it all into perspective. So he just tries to hyperbole and satire his way through what's actually going on in the world right now. And he's got a very unique set of characters there too. Most of them are human. Some of them are what he calls like the devil girls. So they're like girls who work for the devil, and they have horns and a piked tail. So he's got a couple of those. There's one character who is caricatured as a pig, who's one of the main character's best friends. I don't know why he made him a pig, but whatever. As far as I know, I think that's the only animal character in the series. I can't think of any other ones, not off the top of my head. So there's that, and then manga. So like, if you know about Japanese like anime, you probably know that most anime starts off as a comic manga, or they call it a graphic novel. Right now, there's only one that I'm reading. It's called Hajime no Ippo, which is basically just the first step. It's a boxing manga. It talks about the daily lives of this kid who was a high schooler who was bullied and pushed around or whatever. His dad had died and he only lives with his mom. They own like a fishing boat, and he saw this giant Japanese dude who didn't look that much older than him training one day, and he walked up to this guy and he was like, "Wow, you're very strong. Can you teach me how to be strong?" And the guy was like, "Who the hell are you? And why does a sawed-off little runt like you want to be strong?" Stuff like that. And he was like, "Because I've been picked on my whole life," and all this other stuff. But he seems very upbeat about it. So the guy sets him a challenge. He was like, "Okay." He kicks the side of a tree, and as the leaves fall, he says, "Can you do this?" And as the leaves fall, before the last one falls, he's able to grab 10 leaves out of the air without dropping a single one in one hand. He was like, "If you can do this," and he holds 10 leaves in his hand. He was like, "If you can do half of this, 5, in a week, I'll teach you how to box." So he leaves, and then for the next week, this kid keeps trying to catch 5 leaves. And on the last day, he's leaning up against this tree, just sweating and exhausted and totally wiped out. And this guy, his name is Takamura, he shows back up and he goes, "So, you give up?" And he goes, "I need you to pay very close attention because I've only got enough energy to do this one more time." And so he watches him, and the kid kicks the tree, and he grabs 5 leaves. And he has to turn and pivot his body in such a fashion to grab them, to grab 5 in time. And then he collapses and he holds out his hand and he's got 5 leaves in his hand. And so the guy was like, okay. He is like, you look like shit, but I'll show you I'll show you how to do it. But before he praises him, he goes, that's a really nice jab you've got there. And he goes, what? And he goes, that motion to catch the leaves is how somebody learns how to throw a jab, which is amazing because I was an amateur boxer. So like when he said that, I connected with it immediately. I'm like, that's brilliant. So then anyway, the story goes on to show him taking this kid, his name is Ipo, to the gym he trains at. And then he learns how to box. And it goes through basically the careers of his mentor, Takamura, his coach, Kumagawa, and then his amateur fighting, going into the pros, his rival that he meets at the gym, and 2 other people who go to the gym. And then you grow up with the characters because this particular manga has been going on for over 30 years. It's one of the longest running mangas in history. I think the only bigger one is Golgo 13 and Detective Conan. That's how long these have been around. This guy, the artist George Morikawa, he's been doing it for over 30 years. And it's still going to this day. It's a great manga. So anyway, I put the links for the mangas and the comics that you can read off the websites in that section there. You can do it too if you have one you want to share with us. Like, I can't remember the name of it now, but there was a couple other ones that I would read, but I sort of lost interest. Like Atomic Robo, I read that one, and there was another one about this sort of sexually liberated chick, and then I can't remember what it's called though. I've got it shortcutted somewhere. Anyway, it was pretty funny. Actually, I can credit that comic for turning me onto the path of Belgian beers, because the character in that particular one, she drank Guldendrach. And I was like, what the hell is Guldendrach? So I looked it up, and then I found it, and then I tried it, and then I loved it. And that's all I order at World of Beer now, because they got it on tap for me. So that's where we would share that. And then the last channel, this isn't just for me. This is for everybody here. If you're a content creator on my server and you don't host a show, it's not a big deal. If you want to share your videos of you doing gun reviews or just whatever on from your YouTube channel, post the links in there. So like, it'll put up a preview window. So people don't even have to go to YouTube to play it. They can play it right off the server, which is great. You can full screen it and go HD and everything. So like every video that I release goes into this channel, including today's live cast. And I think I got Jimmy finally in the habit of doing it. And then anybody else, like if Scott does a review on the guns he picks up today, he could put his video link in there too. Everyone can see it. It's wide open to the public. So anyway, that's what we've got going on here now, currently. If you end up joining the server and you see a channel idea that you'd like to see on here, I can add it. That's fine. It's just, I think I've got pretty much all the bases covered. I don't have like a sports channel yet, but it's only because, well, a lot of you guys aren't into them anyway. And then everyone's things are diverse. So like the only sports I would probably cover is boxing and maybe basketball or World Cup, stuff like that. So yeah, you can join the server. You can be part of that. You can have your own text channel if you don't see one there, or you can contribute to the ones that are there. If you want to do a podcast, I can add you a stream channel. Links in the description below. Email me. But like I was saying, I'm going to open up the server to the public, probably starting after this show. I will edit the description now with the invite link down at the bottom. So refresh this page like an hour from now. You'll see the link. You can join the server. Or if you're in a hurry, just email me at that address in the link, lesgrossman@gmail.com. If you don't know who Les Grossman is, I can't help you. But I'm just telling you now, I'm not about that Pan-Pacific power play bullshit. We are flaming dragon! Now some of you know where I got the address. Anyway, that being said, and despite the fact that I told Scott that I was only going to run an hour today, now we've run 3. So I'm going to play this, and I'm going to thank you all for watching. If you stuck with this for the entire time, great. If not, see you on the replay. Like I said, if you want to join the server, email me below, or check the description later for an invite. I'm opening it up to the public I'll make it usable for 20 times. I think I could do that. And if you're new to my channel, welcome. If you're a regular here, welcome back. Either way, maybe check out my other playlists and see if my other interests might be of interest to you. That's all I've got for you this week, guys. Thanks for watching. We will see you later.